No, but listen to, did you hear the press conference of Seleke Kromah, the IG? He did say that this is a highly political case, did he not? So you don't take the partisans' word for it, you take the IG's word for it.
We elect on 85 irresponsible men that want to happen to our country. We elect on 85 irresponsible men to govern this country, not to be very irresponsible.
Please place your left hand on the Bible being held by your wife, and you will kindly raise your right hand, sir, and repeat after me. All standing, please. I, Joseph Newman Boyka Sr.,
No secret now that your friend and former boss will be a candidate in 2029. With all of that you experience, all of that you know, and everything that you see unfolding in the country now, will you support him? Will you be part of the process? Will you give him the support? Do you think he can be a better president?
So why you want to bring political Benin in it now?
Oh, but you political you're political man, before you go out, very active.
I plead the fifth again.
Okay. When 2029 come and pass, then you finally leave. Mission is completed. Now, what the rules of engagement? When the war ended, the guy said, the captain, the commander said, mission complete. There wounded out first. All men on board.
So, this riot situation when it comes to country, because many times you notice that
Charles Taylor is the problem. He will be out of here in the twinkle of an eye. And I say, let well-meaning Liberians come home. If we respect this constitution, a government formed in Accra is a violation of Article 1 of the Constitution. Let them come home. Let that government be formed in Monrovia.
On the broadcast administration, we want to give the government of Liberia an ultimatum of 72 hours to provide a living ballot of the chairman of the Student Unification Party, or else there will be a catastrophic pneumonia in the Republic of Liberia. To arrest the chairman of the Student Unification Party, only because the government feel intimidated about the Vanguard Party advocacies.
The government got capital road, small, big road, all kinds of place. I think the reason Joseph Baka will not do much because the old man, the papa is suffering. The papa loves the country, but he can't make it. The criminal there around him, they sophisticated than him. They are sophisticated criminals, so they can't make
it. But why you want to bring political talk in the thing now? I take the fifth. That's a quotation from my own brother and friend, D. Zilga Wilson, the former Minister of Youth and Sports. Why you want to bring political business in this now? I'll take the fifth again. Please do not take the fifth. Share the show. Let the world know that today we are going to be hosting one of Liberia's best and brightest minds, Dr. Clarence Moneybar. He wants to be president of the Great Republic of Liberia. He's going to be sitting on a hot seat. Why does he want to be president of this great country? What new is he bringing? If you are into education, this is the time for you to come and query this young man as to how he intends to revitalize or revamp our education system. you are into healthcare, this is your opportunity to talk to somebody that is calm and collected before the election season starts. Put him on the record. What plan does he have for health, sanitation, security, water, all that is combined to be called utilities. LEC, water and sewer. Security, we're talking about the police, LGEA, the army. What does Dr. Clarence Moniba have under his sleeves? We need to talk to our young folks. The future belongs to them. What future do they want us to bequeath unto them? We've been here since 1822. We are 203 years old. This gonna pass July. Look where we are. I don't want to use the Liberian parlance. God swear us or what? Like the scripture says, can anything good come out of Israel or Nazareth? Can anything good come out of Liberia? Besides individual wealthy men and women that acquired their wealth through government, men and women that were broke, walking around with no shoes, literally gets into government and they become instant millionaires. How can Dr. Moniba break this curse? How is he going to deal with a nation whose budget the entire nation spends 80 to 90% of its total budget on perks, salaries, travels, good times. In a small place called the Republic of Monrovia, they go from Brewerville to Otis Congatine, turn right around and just all over the place in that little place. They want more and more and more for men and women who comes from the interior, absolutely broke. You think they would be thankful and grateful for what they got. But we are in a nation where I look at the budget and lawmakers are being compensated up to $2,000 for housing allowance, even though they live in their own homes. They've been giving money to buy scratch cars, to make cars. They've been giving gas and cars, security. Some of these folks can barely read or write. And the few that can read cannot comprehend what they read. But yet they are making laws and making decisions that bind you and me. They determine where, when, and how to live. And they can even determine whether you will live or die. This is the democracy that was bequeathed to us, that says we have to elect someone that talks like us, walks like us, behaves like us. So if you have an experience in managing, if you have an experience in writing, and you go to Vanjaman, or you go to number 3 in Grand Bassa County, or you go to any of the districts in the Republic, they will tell you, you are not one of us. You are not on the ground with us. So they go ahead and choose one of their own. He comes to Monrovia, he has nowhere to stay, he has no food to eat. So he depends on his position to provide him a home, enough money to buy land, buy a home, build houses. He goes to his district maybe once a year. This is the democracy that we have. Up to 90% of our budget goes to salary, benefits, and jolly. To the point where a gentleman by the name of Bernard Benson, DJ Blue. DJ Blue said, anyone that touches my salary, my perks, I will send you Goa. You will die. Goa will kill you. This is how desperate these people are. Few years ago, DJ Bernard Blue had no money. He had no power. But like the great politician said, if you want to know the real character of a man, give him power. Before we go into politics, today we are going to be hosting Liberia's greatest mind, in my belief, in my estimation, one of Liberia's best and brightest, Dr. Clarence Moniba, will be here to meet the press. Share the show. Get ready. It's going to be interesting. It's a tutorial. But before we get to politics, let me take out my hat and salute our amputee team. On the front page of the newspaper, the particular one said Liberia silver-winning amputee team returned to neglect, disrespect, and no honor. In other countries, when our disabled community go and accomplish something, they come home to a hero's welcome. In Liberia, we care less. We will celebrate corrupt people at any time. It says what should have been a proud moment of national celebration has once again exposed Liberia's failure to honor the very heroes who consistently elevate the country's name across West Africa and beyond. Fresh from the inaugural West African Para Games, where they impressively clinched the silver medal, the Liberian amputee national football team returned home on Sunday, only to be met with frustration and neglect. Instead of a dignified welcome befitting silver medalists, the national icon was squeezed into an old, worn-out commercial bus, an apparent insult that sparked outrage among supporters and bystanders. At the Para game, the Liberian amputee football team fought their way to the finals, where they narrowly lost 1-0 to Nigeria in a thrilling high-energy showdown. Their performance earned widespread respect, with organizers and fans praising their discipline, determination, and remarkable skills. The Confederation of African Amputee Football, CAF, commended the team's commitment to advancing the sport in the region. Analysts describe Liberia's showing as brave, technically sharp, and a model of sportsmanship. Liberia made history. Yet, the welcome they received suggested the achievement was irrelevant. National shame. Rather than being met with flags, applause, or even basic pre-arranged transportation, the athlete men of one overcame significant personal hardship to represent Liberia were reportedly forced into a commercial bus that looked unfit for even the everyday commuters, let alone national representatives and heroes. Witnesses described the scene as painful to watch. One visibly upset supporter told Front Page Africa they played their hearts out for Liberia, and this is the thanks they get. This is shameful treatment, expose the recurring national problem in this country. Liberia celebrates its athletes only when they win, but often abandoned when it's time to provide the fundamental support. Front Page Africa have learned that multiple sporting stakeholders were aware of the team's return, but failed to organize even the most basic reception. There was no official bus, no official escort, and no public acknowledgement of their silver medal achievement from key authorities. This raises critical questions for the government and sporting bodies. This raises critical questions for the government. The Liberian amputee national team deserves far better. A proper, reliable team bus, at least, is not a luxury for these folks. It is a necessity and a basic sign of respect for athletes who have demonstrated immense dedication to their country. The government and sporting authority must step up immediately to remedy this oversight. If it is, respect begins with action, not merely with supported public statements. A country that fails to honor its heroes ultimately fails itself. These men represented the nation with pride and heart. They returned home with a silver medal, but were welcomed with inexcusable disregard and disrespect. They carried the nation, both literally, on one leg, figuratively speaking, on their backs. The very least Liberia can do is at least ensure that they are carried home with dignity. Instead, Nobody met them at the port. So let me segue into the Ministry of Sports. The Ministry of Sports. I think when the report cards came out, the Ministry of Sports got an F. And he wanted to argue. Do you need any more explanation? If you ask our Liberian amputees, they will tell you that this man does not deserve to be called Minister of Sports. Kehleboe Gongloe, you are a failure and a shame and a disgrace to our nation. Let me welcome Myean D. Torgbean. Myean, welcome to the show.
Thank you all so much, Mr. Gayman. It's a pleasure to be back on to inform the Liberian people of some of the trending national issues and also to inform the Liberian people about some of the information that they are not aware of, most especially our market women, pimping boys, motorcyclists who in the day they usually go about doing their normal activity, doing their normal businesses. So some of them is at this type of time, they go to the monitor, they put their radio on, they put their Bluetooth on to listen to Mr. Gayman, to listen to Chief Tomalin George, the Peabody, Mr. Garguah, and the rest of the folks, including mine, D. Torgbean, to listen to them as they give us the latest information. So like one time I was passing, I think few days ago, I was passing in a community where I had on my press vest, and then I just saw the people was like, which station you from? I said I'm on 2FM. He said, but I see closing argument first on you. I said yes. He said, but like where your name? I said my name Myean Torgbean. So they was like arguing. He lying. I saw on the, I said that's my name. So I even went on the show and all showing them a photo. So some of them be like, we can only listen to the radio, but we can be able to see you on the television. I said, yeah. So at time, if we are on the radio, you have the opportunity, but when I'm in person, you won't believe it. So she was like you talking different, and when you on the radio, you can be talking different. I'll be like, well, how do you want me? How do you want me to talk? Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Well, with that being said, let me welcome all of our friends and family members at Truth FM 96.1 all over the country. Welcome to the show. I am Jerome Gayman. I am the host. Later on, we're going to have all of our panelists here. We are going to be hosting Dr. Clarence Moneyba today. You know, Myean is our producer. He's the guy who does all the work behind the scenes. And when we get the news from the different newspapers, there are some news that are not captured in the news up to press time. So he brings us up to speed. The reason we are leading with the amputee story today is because when President Joseph Boakai was running, he has always said the group of 77 had a special place in his heart, that his mother was disabled. And he was going to put the disabled community at the top. Today, going to year number 3, which is midterm year, you are reading a pathetic story about young men that have represented our country and have done exceptionally well. They have won several trophies and medals. They went to the final with a great Nigeria and they lost 1-0. They got a silver medal. They came in number 2 in Africa. And they were never met at the airport, not even from the sports minister, deputy minister, assistant minister, dog catcher. Nobody. While they are riding in their $100,000 car, $50,000 car, you had the entire team being squeezed into an old bus. Commercial at that rate. Liberia. There is something intrinsically wrong with that country. Thank God that Front Page Africa gave Mr. Gongloe a 0, maybe not 0, an F for me. An F is a 0. Mr. Gongloe is a failure. He rightfully received an F. Liberia people say the F that's for Foko Key. He was Foko Key. Let me talk the Liberian way so you understand. Foko Key. A man who is the Minister of Youth and Sports. Couldn't send a pickup truck. Couldn't send a bus. Couldn't rent any bus to pick up 15 to 22 men. And they had to squeeze. The bus, from what I was looking at, the bus couldn't even close. These are men with their crutches. Liberia is a country, some kind of country. Myean, if you have time, if God blesses us and smiles on us, if you can get in touch with the Liberia amputee football team, we would love to host them. Please do all you can to bring them on so we can shower them with their blessings. We can honor them. We can let them know that they are one of us. We love them. We are proud of them. They have ably represented us. We want to host the Liberian football amputees. We want to honor them. Do what the nation have not been able to do. At least we can say thank you for representing us ably. So Myean, with all due respect, it is a request from me to you. If you can, please, let's start doing the research, see who they are, where they are. Let's get in touch with the captain. Let's bring them here, and let's give them the flowers while we can. What do you think?
Yeah, it's necessary, Mr. Gayman, and I've been following that video that I've been training on the media. So we'll try to reach out to them to see how best we can bring them on.
Yes. You know, when we in the media space, we criticize folks when they don't do well. We also have to have the courage to recognize talents, to recognize efforts. Just imagine if they couldn't even meet them at the port. I want to imagine there was no food. Wherever they assemble, wherever they were dropped off, they have to find their way home. This is how terrible this news is. How can Liberia do this? Why is Gongloe still on the job, President Wakai? If it is true, and it was not a campaign gimmick, you say your mother was an invalid, your mother was a disabled person. She would have been a member of the group of 77. How then? While you were celebrating your homecoming with millions of dollars, these men were in Nigeria or wherever the game was, representing the colors, the red, white, and blue, with the Lone Star on their chests, representing getting hurt, falling. Just imagine an amputee have to fall, and it takes a longer time for them to get up and keep moving because of one thing, that red, white, and blue. It reminds me of the terrible history in these United States. When Black soldiers went to war for this country, they fought gallantly. And everywhere they went in the world, people recognized them as a fighting force. They were celebrated abroad, but when they came home, some were never even recognized for their effort, their sacrifices. Many lost their lives and were not even recognized in death. So when African countries say Liberia is a replica of baby America, there's a case to be made. What makes it worse for Liberia is that we have not learned anything. Our amputees were on the pitch, fighting, carrying our flag proudly, while we were celebrating headquarters in our blue and greens and whites and our berets on our head. The CDC were in Grand Bassa and other places, Nimba or Bung. The Unity Party was in Monrovia, having a great time. The president was on stage dancing. Dancing Buka Dancer, that was the song that was dancing. So careless and hypocritical. A few years ago, dancing Buka was a crime. Today, Joseph Boakai is dancing Buka, while our amputees suffer. I guess they are suffering from such a hangover, they forgot to meet them at the port. Forgot all about these folks. Mr. Gongloe, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a disgrace. You have legitimized all the criticism against you as an incompetent. A gentleman that deserves an F. Let's go to the next trending topics in the Republic of Liberia. This one from the Liberian Investigators, the editorial page. It says Liberia costly legislative expansion, a reform the nation cannot afford. On the front page of Front Page Africa, they deal with the same topic. It said the House passes a bill for the creation of 14 new district seats amid unresolved proposal to reduce lawmakers' earnings. I told you there's a correlation between criminality and stupidity. How is it possible you cannot pay your bill? And you decided to vote to even add more bill? You can't pay for the car you got, but you want to go and get another car. So now your car note can be even bigger. So what the Liberian people need to do now is to become what we call in these United States the repo man. Come and take your car back away from these guys who just cannot pay for it. What is that car that you give them? That power. Take back the power that you gave them because they are not worthy of driving that car of power. They cannot maintain the power. In America and other places, if you take cars and you cannot pay the note, they will repossess the car. Thus, the term repo. The guy comes to your house and say, "Where's the key?" Now they don't even need the key. They just bring the tow truck and lift your car up. When you come outside, the car is gone because you can't afford the car. Same scenario in Liberia. The congressmen and women cannot govern the country, so you need to take back what you give them, which is the power. Go and repossess your power. Take it from them. It says here, this is Willie Conway, Emmanuel Conway from the Front Page Africa. Here, take. Why the proposal for the reduction of lawmakers' salary and benefit is long dragging on, the House of Representatives has passed a bill that seeks to increase the number of legislative seats, an action that is expected to incur even more financial burdens on the government and the people of Liberia. That's Front Page Africa's take. And let's go to the editorial page of the Liberian Investigators. It says here, the House of Representatives have chosen a curious moment to enlarge itself. With the stroke of a vote, lawmakers approved 14 new seats, growing the chamber from 73 to 87 members. Under the banner of constitutional duty and demographic reality, they point to Article 80 of the Constitution, the mandate to reapportion following a census, the requirement to correct representational imbalances, the obligation to ensure that no district is 4 times larger or smaller than another one. On paper, the argument is airtight, they think. In practice, it exposes the gulf between constitutional compliance and moral responsibility. The Constitution required the legislature to act within a year of the publication of the 2022 census. That deadline passed quietly for years. Lawmakers showed no urgent or sense of urgency in fixing glaring disparities in district populations. Some rural districts representing fewer than 20,000 citizens, while parts of Montserrat carry more than 100,000 in each of their districts. Only now, during the economic strain and growing public frustration, has the House rediscovered the urgency of constitutional fidelity. It is a strange awakening, arriving precisely when citizens call for least government, because the government can least afford the consequences of redistricting. No serious policymaker disputes that Liberia's electoral map must be reflected in our population. The geography should shape democracy, but the central question remains: this must expansion but be predicated on logic, especially when it comes to the wage bill. Adding 14 additional lawmakers is not a symbolic gesture. It is an expensive and permanent expansion of the wage bill. Each new representative requires office staff, security, a vehicle, fuel, district office, logistical support, and a suite of benefits attached to the legislature. Conservative estimate place the annual cost at roughly between 4 and 6 million US dollars, even before accounting for the initial setup and the expenses. In a country where hospitals run out of basic supplies and young Liberians scramble for economic opportunity, such spending is more than budgetary decision. It is a moral one. Liberians did not need experts to interpret Tuesday's vote. Their reaction, swift, loud, and overwhelmingly negative, laid bare the widening discontent between elected officials and the people they serve. Across social media, the radio, call-in shows, the sentiment was unmistakable. Citizens questioned how a struggling nation could justify adding new lawmakers when it cannot adequately fund essential services. They pointed to the proof in the poor performance of the existing legislature and wonder why expanding its size would be seen as progress. The public anger is not rooted in cynicism. It is grounded in lived experience. The House insists its hands are tied, that the Constitution compels this move, and demographic display and demographic fairness demands it. But constitutional obedience is not supposed to be selective. If lawmakers display the same urgency on transparency, accountability, responsible budgeting, or ethical conduct, Liberia's governance landscape will look very different today. Invoking the Constitution only when it expands political space is not leadership. It is leadership by convenience. The Senate now inherits a deeply polarizing proposal. its members may waive constitutional requirement against fiscal realities and political stability. They must consider whether the National Elections Commission can responsibly redraw the national electoral map before 2029. They must ask whether expanding representation at this moment enhances democracy or merely enlarges the government. Handled without care, this process could deepen mistrust, trigger legal disputes, and inflame the nation's tension. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the nation that we are going to bequeath or leave to our children. As a civil society advocate, Anderson Myean noted Liberia does not need extra legislative seats. His point captured a wider truth. The country needs a legislature that performs better, not one that grows bigger. This is a moment in time that demands discipline. It calls for leaders who can distinguish constitutional obligation from constitutional opportunism, and who understand that statecraft requires restraint when resources are scarce. Reapportionment is necessary. Expansion is not. Liberia must choose reform that lighten the burden on citizens, not to add to it. The Senate now holds the responsibility to ensure that this decision reflects not only the letter of the Constitution, but also the deeper conscience of the nation. Liberia deserves fair representation. What they do not deserve is unnecessary weight placed upon them already strained national budget. These are folks that deserve absolutely nothing. They have done nothing for their people. Most of them cannot read or write. The few that can read cannot comprehend. They get in their big cars. They ride around with their big bellies. Some of them are looking sick. It's just a matter of time before they wind up in India at our expense. Most of them are considered FAU, fat and ugly. They don't take care of themselves. So you know if they can't take care of themselves, they won't take care of anybody else. If a man doesn't care about himself, there is no way that he will care for you. Some of these people never own anything. Working in government has become a lucky ticket. Why go to the university and study engineering when I can try my luck? And the folks in my neighborhood will elect me because I sound like them. Most of them didn't go to school, so why should I go to school? The guys who go to school comes back home, instead of he be held as a hero, they will tell him, you are not one of us. Where were you when we were here setting trap, eating rats together? So by going to school and looking nice and speaking nice and coming back and talking about the economics of our country, that puts you on the other side, and the folks don't want to talk to you. Because our Constitution and our democracy says you are not one of them. So it goes. Liberia is in trouble, has been in trouble, and will remain in trouble as long as we spend 80 to 90% of our budget on ourselves. How in the world will you pay a lawmaker who was born and raised in Liberia, has his own home, you give him housing allowance? Why? A friend of mine told me it's between $1,800 to $2,000 a month. The central bank governor, when he was on Capitol Hill, he said he gets about $10,000 a month, something ridiculous. A few weeks ago, we talked about Liberia and the silliness of our leaders. There was a guest that we had here who said it doesn't matter how much we raise, they will find a way to eat it. Finally, even though the number sounds fishy, it looks like whoever is making that number is as incompetent as Garguah. Has no clue. The most incompetent finance minister in my book. To come up with a $1.22 billion that cannot be justified. Even the guys who cannot read and write in the house said, no, this is not possible. This doesn't look right. I said this to say this. On the front page of the Daily Observer, which is friendly to the government, carried this headline. The money from the United States is a makeup for the lost aid that we lost. We told you this. Instead of Garguah and the Republic of Liberia getting together and say, how do we make up the money that is being lost? How do we get it from our part? How do we cut here and there? They are now dancing. The United States have made up for the money. We don't need anywhere to do anything. And this is how this is their take. This is the government-friendly paper, the Daily Observer. It says, at a time when Liberia faces one of the sharpest reductions in U.S. development assistance in more than a decade, President Joseph Nyenwolo-led administration have pulled off what many observers describe as a clever diplomatic maneuver, securing $124 million for health commitment. Maybe the MOU is a strategic win amid aid austerity, and that the Barker administration diplomatic achievement is being viewed as especially remarkable given the context. Massive cuts to USAID development program, a growing U.S. preference for cost savings, foreign policy, and a global shift toward domestic spending. Everybody is tightening their belt and putting their country first. The Joseph Barker administration is dancing that finally all the money they lost, they found the replacement. This is a disgrace and should be a shame to the nation. We are losing funding from the Swedish government, from the United States USAID. According to Garguah, God has blessed us. Our domestic funding has risen to to 1.22 billion, the difference of almost $420 million. Instead of putting that money into the domestic economy, in education, in healthcare, infrastructure development, sanitation, we decided to get racist to ourselves. When someone talked about reducing salaries and putting the money into the Liberian people, Congressman J. Bernard Blue said, don't even try it. If you touch my salary, beware. I have the power to give you Goa. Observers say the diplomatic approach has been strategic on several fronts, elevating technocrat level leadership, reframing from Liberia's self-reliant partners, engaging in U.S. agencies. Rather than representing or presenting Liberia as a country dependent on aid, the White administration has learned to lean into donor language around self-reliance and system strengthening, positioning the country as a reliable investment destination rather than a perpetual beneficiary of gifts. They come up with these clever languages. Instead of looking at this as a failure, they have hired brilliant writers, corn men and corn women to coin this. As Liberia is a destination for investors, this is not investment. I want to go back to the old Liberian parliament. We ain't stupid here. The next hour, we're going to have our guest here. We're going to put him on a hot seat. Dr. Moniba is quite capable of defending himself and his policies. He should be here to discuss public policy, his dream and vision for the Republic of Liberia. Today is the middle of the week, Hump Day. I guess that's what it is. After today, you can begin to smile. It's all downhill. And the weekend is within sight. You can go to your calabash. You can go to your Kehleboe restaurant. You can go anywhere and just have fun. Wednesday is the middle of the week. If you make it through Wednesday, you have made a week. We are going to be talking about national issues, current event, until our guest enters the studio. There are two headlines that caught my attention. I'm going to start with one of those. The first one is what's going on in Liberia in the arson case. Can you imagine? Prosecution witness admits no fingerprint test conducted in the capital arson case. Let me read this again. Prosecution witness admits no fingerprint test conducted in the capital arson case. The Basel man said, "I kidney." Temple Justice Monrovia, the state's attempt to tie defendants to the Capitol building arson case suffered a major blow on Wednesday when its first witness admitted on a cross-examination that investigators conducted no forensic fingerprint analysis on key items allegedly used to start a fire. Testifying before Criminal Code A, prosecution witness Raphael Wilson, a criminal investigator with the Liberia National Police, told the court that neither the Clorox bottle nor the matchbox recovered from the scene had entered or gone on any scientific fingerprinting testing. No fingerprints. On a questioning by defense lawyer, Wilson said forensic technicians advised investigators that fingerprint extraction was impossible because the items' surfaces were too smooth. Listen, guys, the Liberia man say, and I hear plenty things, but the other one here. No fingerprint because the surface is too smooth. What surface, what object on earth is so smooth that criminals can hold it and no palm or fingerprint can stick? This is the Republic of Liberia, the government's case. Government is presenting its case that you don't need fingerprint because that bottle too smooth. Even fingerprint set can't even get on it. The Republic of Liberia, boy, I tell you. Yep, the Republic of Liberia, the folks said they cannot okay. Our chief says we didn't send him the link. Let me pull it off here. Thank you, Dad, for reminding me. Let me get a link, copy, and send it to the doctor. The good old doctor says he didn't get the link. Here you go. Okay. Testifying before Criminal Code A, prosecution witness Raphael Wilson, a criminal investigator with the Liberia National Police, told the court no fingerprint because the fingerprint, the Clorox bottle were too smooth. On a questioning by defense lawyer, Wilson said forensic technicians advised investigators that fingerprint extraction was impossible because the item surface were too smooth. The Clorox bottle and the matchbox had raw surfaces. We could not conduct fingerprint testing. The forensic technician told us it was impossible to extract prints from that type of material, he testified. Defense lawyers seized on the admission, arguing that the lack of fingerprint analysis undermines the state's effort to link the items to any of the defendants legally. Hello? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Moneyby trying to get on. He's having problem. We resend the link. Hopefully his internet is going to give him the opportunity. But this is a very interesting case. The defense lawyer seized on the admission arguing that the lack of fingerprint analysis undermined the state's effort to link the item to any of the defendants legally. They maintain that the investigators are obligated to preserve physical evidence using gloves and subject it to scientific testing before concluding. Earlier, before cross-examination began, prosecutors sought to introduce the Liberia National Police charge sheet and investigation report into evidence. Defense lawyer objected, calling the documents strange because they were not disclosed during discovery, which they argue violated the criminal procedure. Judge Willie admitted the document but ordered the prosecution to provide printed copies to the defense immediately before further questioning. Wow. I am not a lawyer, but what they call discovery in law is that all evidence, all pertinent documents, evidence needs to be shared with the defendant. If you're going to charge a defendant with a crime and you have the evidence, you need to provide the evidence to the defendant so he or she can prepare him or herself for her defense or his defense. You cannot hide and withhold the evidence until the day of the trial and say you have a surprise evidence. So I don't know, the George Willie is something else. Let's go to the audio recording. Tension escalated as prosecutor moved to have audio recording marked and admitted. The defense objected, saying the state failed to establish the chain of custody, including when, where, and by whom the audio was produced. Judge Willie overruled the objection, citing precedent that courts may admit evidence, even when the jury will later determine its authenticity. Hey. Judge Willie, Liberia is a strange place. I listened to our intro and you heard the former speaker, J. Fonati Kofa. He said, you didn't hear it from me, you heard it from the IG, that this is not a legal case, this is a political case. So the government and George Willie are treating this case as a political case. Evidence doesn't matter. Criminal procedure doesn't matter. The judge in Liberia is saying the jurors will determine the authenticity of the evidence. George Willie, in his washed mind, said the burden of proof is not upon the government that is accusing, but instead is upon the jurors. I guess jurors in Liberia had forensic machines, they have forensic fingerprints, they have DNA. They have DNA machines. They have all of those things to prove someone guilty. The judge said, George Willie admitted the document, but ordered the prosecution to provide printer copies to the defense immediately. While the rule is legitimate in law, George Willie overruled the objection, citing precedents that court may admit evidence even when a juror does not have the authenticity, but they will decide whether it's authentic or not. How? The ruling prompted a stern response from defense counsel, Counselor Arthur Johnson, who accused the judge of stepping beyond his judicial role. He has now become a member of the prosecution team. Your Honor, your ruling sounds as though you are arguing for the prosecution, Johnson said. When we make objection, your role is to simply rule. You are arguing the case before the jury. And our constitutional rule and our court prohibits judges to do such a thing. Defense lawyer then asked the court to strike Wilson's testimony regarding the audio, arguing the jury had already heard the recording, that the witnesses are not an expert qualified in the area of audio evidence. But yet he allowed that. With assistance from the National Security Agency, NSA, Joe Willie said with the NSA being involved, he will again overrule the defense hearsay objection. The trial continues. Why are we going through this? If the George Willie is serving as the judge, the jury, and the executioner, why put us through this? Myean, if you are in the back, our guest is here. Our guest is in the studio in Monrovia. He needs to be brought on. Our guest is in the studio. He needs to be brought on. Dr. Moneyba is in the back. He needs to be brought on. Let me see. Doc, hold on 1 minute here. I am multitasking like everybody else. Want to make sure that this thing happens smoothly. Dr. Moneyba is in the back. Let me see if we can bring him on. Please bring the good old doctor on. Let's get this show going. Let me thank Tavi for tuning in. Be thankful, Addison. Thank you very much. Isidore Kia, Martin Willie, Jan is here as usual. Share the show, get ready. Emmanuel Bro is here. Abdullah Dukla is here. Anthony Gay is here. Some of you guys are still pushing your cartoon, and that's good. Vinicius Jr., bye. Thank you very much for tuning in. Liberians, thank you. Please tell us where you're tuning in from. Oh, okay. Abdullah Dukla is tuning in from the great city of Monrovia. It's a bye, and everybody else, they are tuning in, but without a place. So if you do not tell us where you're tuning in from, we assume you are tuning in from Monrovia. Even Telvi, she's tuning in from Houston, Liberia. Liberia is a very strange place. Addison is watching from the great place of Columbus, Ohio. I love Columbus, Ohio. I was in Columbus to visit some friend. It's a beautiful place. Home of the great Ohio, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I have no clue what is going on. The doctor is in the back. Dr. Peabody, anybody who is listening, I am trying to bring Dr. Moneybar on, and we are having issues. We are having issue bringing Dr. Moneybar on. We are having issue bringing Dr. Moneybar on, and I'm getting frustrated. This is not how it's supposed to work. You cannot invite a guest and refuse to bring him on. This is unacceptable. He been in the back for a while. Let's go to another topic while we try to bring Dr. Moneybar on. I hope you guys are not playing politics with our guests. The United States government warns, United States Congressman warns Liberia to risk losing control of its mineral future in controversial Ivanhoe Rail deal. An influential U.S. lawmaker is warning that Liberia may be walking into a geopolitical trap. Emmett, tuning in from K-City. Absolutely. A multi-billion-dollar rail project promoted as a pathway to economic revival, he says, could instead tighten China's grip on Africa's minerals and pull Liberia into the center of a global power struggle. Representative Joe Molinier, who chaired the U.S. House Select Committee on Chinese Communist Party, issued a warning in a sharply worded letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio on December the 9th. He urged the State Department to reconsider its support for Liberty Corridor, Liberia's ambitious plan to rebuild and expand the rail line linking mining hubs in Liberia and Guinea to a deep port water in the Atlantic Ocean. In the letter, Molinier argued that Ivanhoe Atlantic, the company pursuing the rail concession, is deeply entangled with Chinese state-owned enterprises and political influence networks. Those links, he said, pose risk not only to the United States' strategic interests, but also to Liberia's long-term sovereignty over its own mineral wealth. The congressman pointed to major Ivanhoe shareholders, Seleke Kromah and ZG Mining Group. The ownership ties, he said, place the real project squarely within Beijing's global reach. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Our long-awaited. It looks like Seleke had to go all the way from Kigali to Lofa to bring Dr. Moniba on. Let me welcome.
No, I spoke to my greeting, Mr. Gayman. I spoke to my, I think he was on back going somewhere. So you were not in the back to actually bring us on. But sorry, Dr. Moniba, for the delay. You know, our guy in Liberia, he was kind of away, you know, but glad that you back on the show. Hey, welcome on the closing argument. Good to be here, Mr. Gayman.
Dr. Moniba, welcome to the show. Is it your first time here?
No, honestly, you know, during the campaign, we did this about 4 or 5 times, to be honest with you. So I've always had a good time on closing argument. And Jerome, I trust your ability. I'm sure we'll have a good time today. It's also good to see my man Seleke. I'm backing your area again. But no, I'm very happy to be on. Very happy to be on.
Absolutely. I'm a little perturbed when my guest is not on time, not because he didn't come on time, but because of our own inefficiencies. And we have to put ourselves on the spot because this is what we do. We hold people accountable. We have to equally hold ourselves accountable for our own deficiencies. I don't like this. And I have to just express it. But welcome to the show. I've been following most of the things you have been doing, your travel, your teaching, your trends. So for those of us from Grand Bassa County who don't know who Dr. Moniba is, could you please reintroduce yourself? It's been a while because you said election 2 years ago.
Yeah. You know, everything in life. And real quick, before we move on, I thought that Seleke was playing politics. Anyway,
no.
me and he got plenty of things to talk about later. But
Seleke doesn't play politics; he plays politics. Politics.
Okay, you see that? Excellent. But no, honestly, like I said, it's very good to be on, man. You know, what ends up happening, and what people don't realize is that after the campaign, when you give your all, and I'm so proud of the work that me and my team did. We went to 263 different towns and villages throughout Liberia. I don't think anybody even came to close to half of that. And we were able to do over 135, 140 radio interviews and TV interviews. So we were very busy during the elections. And so, you know, in life, after you do something and you commit so much to that, you know, we took some time to just kind of recover mentally, physically. You know, but now it's time for us to start to re-engage, and that's what we've been doing. And so that's why we thought a perfect opportunity was to start to re-engage when looking at the budget and when talking about the budget. And so that's what we are. But listen, I'm a proud, you know, when people say who is Dr. Moniba, I love to you always begin with your parents, right? Because those are the people who are responsible for giving you life. So you always begin with your parents. I'm so proud to be the son of the late Dr. Harry F. Moniba, who was the former vice president in Liberia. And then, of course, my beautiful mother, you know, who is always watching me every time I do these appearances, Minita Moniba. And so, you know, listen, I'm just a Liberian who wants to see Liberia better tomorrow than what we have today. And so I think a lot of times people confuse politics with telling the truth. And like, you know, even like I've been engaging the radios the last couple of days and the last couple of weeks and the media, just talking about the budget and the fact that the budget is not transformational. And I have people from the legislature calling me, oh, my man, why are you talking like that for? So this is the mindset. So when people ask me who I am, I always say that I'm a frustrated Liberian simply because Liberia is too rich for our people to be this poor. And so all of us have to begin to the engagement and talking and really holding people's feet to the fire. So like I said, I'm very happy to be here on this platform, you know, and looking forward to a very good conversation for us to have.
Excellent. Let me welcome the doctor, good old doctor. He's my spiritual advisor. He's everything to me and to everybody else. Welcome, Dr. Peabody.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Mr. Gayman. And Seleke, and also it's always a delight to have Dr. Moniba here. I mean, every time he comes here, he educates us and tell us about what Liberia will be and how Liberia can become. So it's always good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. So today, ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share this show. Get involved. We have invited educators, health science folks to be on here. Dr. Moniba wants to be president of the Republic of Liberia. We want to find out what are his why. If you are into education, he's going to educate us on his education plan. If you are into health, he's going to talk to us about the health. If you are into numbers, he's going to talk about the budget. He is ready. For me, at the end, I'm going to ask him, a nation that spends 80 to 90% of its budget on themselves, how is he planning to develop Liberia on 10% of the budget? It's impossible. It doesn't matter how smart you are. How is he going to do this? I'm going to begin the show. As usual, I have done my research in details, and we're going to discuss those things. First, I'm going to give you a background. Let's go to the 2025, the U.S. State Department Investment Climate Report. It says Liberia Climate Report. And under that, it says here, among other things, Liberia has poor road networks, a lack of reliable internet access and corruption, poor physical infrastructure, low purchasing power of the population due to widespread abject poverty, inconsistent and overlapping tax administration and policies, a weak judicial system, inadequate legal protection for contracts, and widespread public sector corruption. Sir, let's start with that. I know you're going to go to that when you finish. Then I'm going to go to your editorial in the investigators, Liberia investigators, that say Liberia is too rich to be this poor. We're going to do that. We're going to intersperse, but let's go to, let's discuss the 2025 State Department Investment Climate Statement for Liberia.
You know, and so that's why a lot of times it's disappointing. And so this is where, even though we're talking about politics, I really want people to start to move beyond politics, because we have such a report that has come out talking about our country and in no favorable terms. But yet, a few days ago, we are out celebrating the launching of a political party headquarters. So the mindset of our people has to change. Our in Liberia stuck in traffic. And while I'm driving in traffic, you see just hundreds of people dancing and, you know, stopping at drinking spots and enjoying themselves. So I'm thinking to myself, are we truly serious about change? We always talk about change, but we are never truly serious about implementation of change. And that's the problem. So even when you talk about that report, right, it talked about corruption in there. And then I ask you this, you know, Jerome, Seleke, Peabody, anybody who was on here, who is the last person that truly went to jail in Liberia for corruption? You cannot name them. And I'm not even talking about just this administration. Let's go 5 years, let's go 10 years, let's go 15 years, let's go 20 years. Who has truly gone to jail and stayed in jail for corruption? You can't find it. So then we continue to wonder, why are people continuing to steal the people's money? It's because there's no accountability, zero. So if I steal money, I don't go to jail, the most I do is get suspended. Guess what will happen? You will continue. And so when you talk about that report and you look at that report, there's so many things that makes people not want to come to Liberia to invest in Liberia. And then what even makes it worse is that when you look at the richest business people in the country, they're all foreigners. You go to the best hotels, the best car dealership, the best restaurants, it's all owned by Lebanese and Indians. So then when do we expect the people of Liberia to truly rise up? It's impossible. And then when you talk about the budget now, you mentioned the fact that we're only spending 10% on capital investments. A country like that would never, and you know, they can say never, but if we continue to spend at 10% rate, we will never develop. Countries like Rwanda, they're at 35 to 45% of their annual budget goes to capital investment, building schools, building hospitals, building roads. But in Liberia, we are barely at 10%. How do we want to develop? How do we want to encourage businesses to come to Liberia? They can't, because even when they can't, Liberia has one of the highest rates in electricity cost. If you are running a business, right, and you're trying to look at the balance book, and you look at the country, the roads not good. You go to the port, corruption there. It takes months and months for you to get your container out of the port. Then when you finally get into the city, you have to run a generator. What's going to make you say, "Oh, I'm going to Liberia over Ghana"? It's not. The only people who truly come to Liberia to do business are the people, like when you look at the mines, to come exploit us. We are shipping millions of dollars of gold out of this country. And what do we get? 2-3%. We have gold in the country and we don't even have a gold reserve. Are we serious about development? Are we truly serious about development? And so these are the things. Businesses are not going to come to Liberia because we have not made it favorable to Liberians. We have not made it favorable to even investors to come in and truly invest in the country outside of exploitation. The biggest companies in Liberia, iron ore, taking out, gold, taking out. What's being invested in the country? So as a government, when we sit and look at a $1.2 billion budget, we have to be trying to see how can we raise the level of business environment in the country when we're talking about this budget. And so this is why sometimes you start to get frustrated, right? When you're talking about this budget, where is the money for women to be able to access loans? The $20 million, $25 million, $30 million just for our women to be able to get skill development, training, loans, entrepreneurship. Where's the money for the youth? There should be $35-40 million in the budget just for the young people of this country to be able to go and involve themselves in entrepreneurship. That's what will encourage other countries, other nationalities to come into Liberia and invest when Liberians can invest in our own economy. But right now, as a Liberian, if you go to the bank, $0. When they finish telling you the percentage you will have to credit, right? When they finish telling you that you only have 2 years to pay, it's impossible to get a loan from the bank. And for the people who live in America or Europe, you know that you cannot establish a true business if you don't have liquidity, if you don't have money. So that's why a lot of Liberian businesses that's right to red light market, that's right to waterside, and you sitting down behind a wooden table, you selling orange and plantains and pepper, things like that. While the foreigners who have access to money will come and make the most money in our country. So these are things when you're talking about the U.S. State Department report, we ourselves are not doing ourselves a favor. And nobody will feel sorry for us and come do it for us what we should be doing for ourselves. And that's when we start talking about developing Liberia. We have to be transformational and intentional in how we think about developing the country. And so these are the things when we're talking, they say, oh, like politics. No, it's not politics, it's reality. Liberia is way behind the other countries that are way behind. But yet we continue to do the same things over and over and over and over again. Look at the budget. How can you truly give that kind of money to lawmakers, legislature, government officials, and then you give very to little no money to the young people of this country? How will the young people really develop when they're untrained, they're unskilled, they're unsupported? Then how do we really expect a future for the country? So anyway, before I start talking plenty, I will stop there.
All right. It's all right. Thank you very much. Let me welcome the ink. One of our intellectuals here, guys, that I love reading his papers. Ink, welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure to be out here. Good to see the Honorable Dr. Moniba.
Thank you.
Respect him a lot. I admire his politics. He provides inspiration to a lot of young people that say it's out of our time. And so I think, that's what I also admire about the closing argument. We go beyond the noise. We try to bring guests who will provide not just the political conversation, but something more educative that, you sit and think. So I saw some of your writing. The recent one was about the courts you proposed. I have one or two concerns. I hope that as you continue to present, you will bring that up so that my premise and questions will be based on that. But it's always a pleasure to be in your company. Great to be here today, and we look forward to a great conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me welcome Johnny. Johnny, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gayman, and I always appreciate you for being on spot to get a show started. And let me appreciate all our viewers and listeners via the Facebook and the radio. This program is here because of you, to keep you informed so that you can make informed decisions in your life. Thank you, Mr. Gayman, and thank you, everybody.
Good. Before I go to the good old doctor, I like some of the names that appears in our link. Looking Time Peking. Yes, that's the name of the week. Looking Time Peking. Dr. Peabody, welcome to the show.
Always good to be here, man. Always.
Your question to the good from one doctor to another. You're not a Looking Time Peking.
No, he's a real intellectual doctor and academician and all of that, But Dr. Moniba, I've always enjoyed you. You seem to know exactly what you want for Liberia. You appear here about 2 or 3 times, and every time you appear, you don't even start about what you want to see happen for our country. You know exactly, and you are on point. And even as we go and sit back and reflect on it, it shows that you rather know what you are talking about. The problem, you just raised an issue, especially when it comes to the investment climate in Liberia, something that have been a burning issue in my heart, especially when I go to Liberia and see almost every aspect of our businesses owned by foreigners, even in supermarkets. Absolutely. You see Lebanese or whoever standing over Liberians and managing them at the counter, all of that. And it breaks my heart to wonder, why is it that you want to tell me we don't have qualified Liberians that can even manage a supermarket or business and stuff like that? They have to bring Liberia. If you are ever elected president of Liberia, how do you plan to change such? I mean, it's like a foreign dependency, because it's like our entire system is a mess. Even restaurants, you have managers who are foreigners catering you. The government sometimes look to foreigners to be the caterer for international programs and things. How do you plan to do that, Dr. Moniba?
And honestly, this is what you just said, right? Is frustrating for every Liberian who loves Liberia. But the problem we have is simple. People only treat you how you allow them to treat you. We as Liberians accept that. And honestly, as much as we say, we can't even turn around to blame the Indians or the Lebanese because we invite it. We allow it to happen. And then when you talk about the supermarkets, you are absolutely right. I don't think I've been to a supermarket in Liberia where it's owned by a Liberian. Why is that? It's simply because when we go back to the enabling environment, the government itself does not stand behind the business people of this country. I was saying it before and I'll say it again. Honestly, when we're looking at this budget, what would it hurt if the government said, here's $100 million, forget $50 million just for Liberian businesses, just to encourage, we will stand behind these loans to Liberian businesses. People, immediately, you will see the level of businesses from Liberia start to increase. The challenge is to be able to start a supermarket, for example, you need probably $150,000, $200,000 minimum to start a legitimate businesses. How many Liberians can truly afford that? And then, of course, it's very difficult to work with each other. So one Liberian cannot afford a supermarket, but the Lebanese, the Indians, that will get together, that will pool their money, that will come and establish and make millions of dollars in this country while Liberians continue to remain poor. That's why if the government sees this, the government should be like, how can we now intervene to change this? And so that's where when we have a $1.2 billion, instead of giving $50 million to lawmakers, 103 lawmakers for salary and staff, you start to say, how can we take 25, 30 million of that money and give it to Liberian businesses to encourage Liberians to get into business? The reason why we have 20, 30 people running for legislature is simply because as a young child, if you're 9 years, 10 years old, and you're standing on the side of the street, right? And you see the fun car go by, you say, damn it, who car is that? They say that the minister. Another car go by, who car is that? That the senator. Then you're walking by line, you see a beautiful house. Who house is that? That the lawmaker. Immediately your mind says, I see social business people on the side of the road walking, they're dirty, they don't have any money, they're struggling. I don't want to do that. I want to go in government. So Liberians end up entering government not to serve, but to gain. They enter government with a business mindset. How can I get my 5% of everything I do? And so the real private sector, we don't have one. And so in Liberia, when we talk about, the report that Jerome was talking about the U.S. State Department, there's no private sector in Liberia. There's zero private. That's fun we can be playing with private sector, because when people graduate from high school, they're not looking to start a business. They're looking to go get a government job. And a country can never succeed. It can never build if truly the only real job in a country is government. That's not a system. And so when we start talking about how do we encourage the government, how do we encourage Liberians to get into business, we have to make sure that there are millions of dollars set aside every year in the budget just for entrepreneurship in Liberia, for loans for Liberian people.
My second question.
Go ahead.
And then before is that you talk about the rule of law, corruption. Nobody been to jail.
Nobody goes to jail in Liberia.
Do you think it's because our laws are so weak, or it's because the leadership are weak?
Combination of both. Combination of both. And it's more the weakness of our leaders than the weakness of our laws. Because there's no law in Liberia that says corruption is legal. There's no law in Liberia that says rape is legal. But let's think about our whole system in society. Right now, God forbid, when somebody gets raped, what do we do? What do the families do? First off, the whole family will come and go beg. Oh, we beg you that the devil fool him. Isn't that what we can say? When there's rape, what do we say? Oh, that the devil fool him. It won't happen again. Please forgive him. We live in a society when you want to hold people accountable, they say you the bad person. So because of that, the laws we have in Liberia are not weak. It's the implementation of the laws, and therefore the leaders have to love the law more than they love themselves or the individual benefits. We don't implement and we don't hold people accountable in Liberia, and that's why we have the country we have. Those two things, if we was able to do it and address it, Liberia would not be in the situation it is in right now. Even let's look at some of these government projects that's going on, right? If you give $1 million for any road in Liberia, it will only go halfway, the work will stop, the money will disappear, and what will we say? At least. Anyway, he tried, at least. The standards we have in our country are low for how we classify a leader. A leader will come, share money around and say, oh, the man good, we start singing Bati O Bati behind him. So the standards we have are low, and the leaders we have are too weak to implement the actual laws of accountability. If people start going to jail in Liberia for corruption, you will see I always say Liberian people, we hard to hear, but we quick to learn. Let 2 or 3 people actually go to jail in Liberia for corruption. Let them go to jail in restitution. We in Rwanda, and Seleke knows this. In Rwanda, when people steal, not only do they go to jail, but they are forced to pay back almost 3 times the amount of money stolen. Imagine implementing a law like that in Liberia. How many people will truly continue this practice? But there's no accountability, so people continue. They see a leader stealing, they see everybody stealing. The culture itself needs a fundamental change, and that can only start with the leadership in this country.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Moniba here. If you just joining the show, share the show. We're reading your comment. Morris Ja. I'm watching from a CMC corner in point 4. Point 4. Yvette Cephas, she's watching. But I don't know where she's watching from. Tell us where you're watching from. We'd like to say hi and say shout out to the folks. Mr. Seleke Kromah.
Thank you, Mr. Gayman, and welcome again, Dr. Moluba. Good to have you on the closing argument. So I just want to shift a little bit. I want us to go back. I know everybody been talking about current event. During your intro, you spoke about your engagement during the 2023 election. So I just want to ask you a little bit about that, because I personally saw you going around the country. I saw you campaigning from district to district, county to county. And at the end of the day, Dr. Moluba, the result was very, very ridiculous. The result of the election, could not reflect the reality on ground. So what is your thought about that? Most especially when Liberians saw you going to campaign. And Liberia is not that kind of country where people will say, you're not campaign, you just appear on radio stations and make the case, and because of that, Liberian people voted for you. We saw Appleton coming to Tell Place rather than people that we candidates we saw campaigning across the country. What's your perspective about the 2023 election?
The election is still, honestly, I still don't know what happened, how it happened, and where it happened, to be frank with you. Even some of the place I voted with my entire team. Anyway, I don't really, but the place I voted had 0 votes. So put it that way, right? With my team, my whole staff, my whole team, all my assistants, my chief of staff, everybody 0 votes. So except I don't know how to vote for myself, there has to be questions asked. And so, but I go back to the point, what the reality is, though, is that I think the Liberian people has settled on a 2-horse race, right? Boyka and Myean. At the end of the day, no matter what we did, and I always tell people this story. One time, I used to go door to door, right? I tell people I actually did real campaigning in Liberia. We used to go door to door, community to community. And one time I was doing that, and this young guy, he was so excited to come see me. He saw me, he came, he ran to me, he took my picture. He took a selfie, his whole hand was shaking. And so I said, okay, but then thank God your vote's guaranteed. He said, no, I'm voting for you 2020 now, not now. So I'm just saying this for the idea that the Liberian people decided that it was going to be President Boyka and President Myean in this ultimate fight. And because of that, right, I don't think they truly listened to, what some of us were trying to tell them. I'm very proud to say, that not only am I confident that we, for my political party, Liberian National Union, but myself, not only am I confident that we had a very robust plan, but we were the only ones that really went through sector by sector to tell you exactly what we wanted to do. So, for example, in agriculture was very clear, and just talking about the idea, in agriculture, we can never develop as a country when we take the budget and put $13 million in the budget, and then we import $200 million worth of rice. We would never develop like that. And so our solution has always been things like this. We have 15 counties. Every single county should be responsible to become a food production zone in this country. So you go Lofa, Bong, Bapulu, Cape Mount, you say, yo, grow all the rice that the people of Liberia will ever need, will ever eat. You go to Nimba, you go to Granjida, you say, yo, grow cocoa, cassava. You go to the southeast, say, yo, grow bitter ball, yo, grow pepper. So we can be self-sufficient in food. So I'm only bringing that to say, these are some of the ideas and policies that we wanted to start to implement in day one. But unfortunately, in 2023, Liberian people were more focused on green and blue than actually developing the country. And so that's why I think you got the numbers that we got. But listen, in life, you fall forward and get up and continue to fight. My goal in life is to make sure Liberia is better tomorrow than what we have today. That's my focus. Right? So I'm not too concerned the elections didn't go my way. I don't care. To be frank with you, it doesn't bother me how the elections went, because I know for a fact what we will continue to offer and talk to the Liberian people about. And it's very simple. We need to put party business aside and start to ask the true, real questions. What is the ideology of this person? What are your policies? So that when somebody becomes president, they don't take 1 year to start to think about, what we have to do.
Thank you. Your second question, real quick.
Yeah, real quick, here's my second question, and thank you for that great response. Again, recently, a few months ago, we saw the USAID, withdrawing from Liberia, and not only Liberia, from many African countries. Then few days ago, again, the Saudi government, they issue a release that they're going to, they're not going to be operating in Liberia for 2026, and it is my understanding that they are supporting different initiatives in Liberia. So this mindset of relying on other countries in order to make progress, supporting different organizations or different institutions in Liberia, what would you do if you're given an opportunity to serve our country, to kind of shift a little bit from, relying on foreign aid and becoming more independent, making use of our natural resources wherein we can be self-reliant instead of depending on foreign aid?
You know, the reason why we depend on foreign aid so much is simply because, once again, look at our budget. We spend all of our money on running a government that we don't have enough money to spend on capital, on building roads, on building electricity grids, on supporting our private sector. So because of that, we are so beholden to international support, right? You will see in the budget, oh, we got direct budget support from this person. That's all good. But at a certain time, one time I was having lunch with an ambassador, and I was telling this story a couple of days ago. I was having lunch with an ambassador, and I was, I always advocate for Liberia. No matter who I sit with, I'm advocating. So I was advocating, why don't y'all help us to do this? And he just simply looked at me and he said, you know what happened? Well, he didn't say in Liberian English, but he said, you know what? When you guys cut the salaries of your lawmakers, then we'll think about it. So imagine that. They don't even, again, people only will do to you what you allow them to do. If we don't take ourselves serious, nobody will take us serious. The reason Sweden left, and Sweden, people don't realize that Sweden is one of the top 2 or 3 nations in Liberia that did so much for our country. It's just that they wasn't front and center always doing stuff. But Sweden did so much for us. And the fact that they would leave is a troubling sign on our overall state of the economy. Because again, if these our good friends are leaving, but we are not replenishing it, the only thing we're doing is like the lawmakers will sit up and then say, oh, we need 14 more lawmakers. For what reason? For what reason? So again, right? Look, sometimes you can then think that it's just a funny joke and it's a nightmare that we'll wake up from, and Liberia will be the country that we all pray for. For y'all to be seriously talking about how can we allocate more money to capital investment? How can we make sure that every single person graduating from high school has 2 years of technical and vocational training so that they can be able to fend for themselves and help to build this country? We're sitting there talking about, oh, we need 14 more lawmakers, which would be at a cost of over $2.5 to almost $3 million every year additional on the budget. So again, back to your question about, what we have to do in this country. It's very simple. We have to start to treat ourselves with the respect so that other people can respect us, one. But more importantly, we have to be able to take our budget and do for ourselves what we want other people to do for us. No development in Liberia will happen if we continue to do the budget like this. And so that's why I always say President Boyka, he was voted for to be transformational. This budget is not transformational. I don't care how you look at it. So when countries leave us, there will be a hole in this country because the only way we'll fill that hole is to create more government jobs, more government agencies. So we're running a welfare state. We're not running a true country of development. We are not. So 20 years from now, 30 years from now, just like how it was 100 years from now, 100 years ago, Liberia will look the same. If I truly ask you, right, and anybody, I don't care what party you're from, and you say, what's the difference in Liberia from 1925 to 2025? 100 years ago, it would barely be any difference. Most of the people in Liberia, when you're in your home, you have to go outside to use the bathroom. When you're ready to cook, you have to use wood and coal, right? There's no electricity. You're still walking around with candle in 2025. So when is the development going to come? And it's not going to come if we take a budget of 1.2 and say only $200 million going towards electricity and roads, but $1 billion going towards government salary, travel, and whatever else we say is going for. So again, let's look at the budget. And because I'm keep harping on the budget because we haven't passed it yet. And so I keep bringing it up. So hopefully some people can get small sense to be able to say, you know what, he's right. How can we say we want to fix our healthcare system when the most important hospital in the country, JFK Hospital, receives $9 million, which is supposed to take care of millions of Liberians? It receives $9 million. Yet 6 offices in the country, the presidency, the vice presidency, the speaker, deputy speaker, the pro tem, chief justice, they receive $11 million. Are we serious about development? Are we truly serious about development? And again, this has nothing to do with party, green, blue, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with common sense. How can we develop the country when more money goes towards 6 political offices than it goes towards the most important hospital in the country? How can we develop Liberia when $13 million goes towards agriculture and $200 million must be imported from India? That means the Indian man has to grow rice to feed a Liberian man when we have all the land. Are we serious? Are we truly serious? So this all must stop if we want to transform the country.
So yes. So can I come?
Yeah, Seleke, you got next. Let me welcome some of our folks here. This is some breaking news because you got to be analytical. He's a critical thinker. This is what we call money laundering, transfer of wealth. You are spending $30 million of your own money on your own folk, and you are sending away $200 million instead of putting $200 million locally to make you self-sufficient. You send it to India. Same thing of giving scholarship to people to leave Liberia to go to other countries. Instead of putting that money at the University of Liberia and increasing the output, the quality of education, instead of increasing the health, we send our lawmakers abroad. That money laundering. Seleke, you're next.
Yes. So, we have all been on the side of critiquing government over and again, and oftentimes I found that to be very easy and simple. For example, a man could just put data on a phone and go on Facebook and say, I mean, not particular about this government, but this is the general approach that we do. This government ain't working. The people are just stealing. So you will never have had a conversation that says, we're out to be in that position. These are the unique and specific ways that we address it. You know what I'm saying? So we have not had most of that. So the country has spent close to 90% of its intellectual capacity towards providing what is not good, and not many times of what is good. So today, with you, considering that you are presidential aspirant, just as qualified and you have become the president of the country, I would like you to take 5 minutes or more or whatever way before I ask you any questions. I would like to engage you on your plan to see how it contradicts with what have existed all along. Because what you're doing and what many of us do is the easiest part. But I just want you to lay out to us what is Dr. Moniba's plan when it comes to transforming the country. Considering one, you have a country of a very small population, 5 million. You have a country whose infrastructure bad, no roads and stuff like that. You have a country, of course, electricity penetration is very minimal. And all of those challenges, you have a country that had just come from war. Its image out there was bad. How do you go? Most of its concessions have already been given out for more than 25, 30, some more years. The one that at least the minimum one, I understand, generates around 75 to 20 million for the APM tender themselves. That is on concession, so we want to get rarity. How could you have approached it differently? What specific issue that you have gone? Not necessarily in terms of how you were caught, because if you were to cut all the lawmakers' money, even if you were to cut about 5,000, you would only get around 4 million, 3 million, not more than 5 million if you were to even cut it and say, look, everybody get 5 million, just the law, the 103. That is still a drop in the bucket when it comes to the problem of the country. So what are the new revenue streams? What will you have proved to put Liberia around $2, $3, $4, $5 billion as its budget that would now be able to address most of these issues, that will attract the job, that will make vocational education take serious? Those who are going to help you will divert a little bit from just talking politics, singing battle cry, and focusing on trade. So please, I would like to ask you a question on your plan.
Okay. No, again, thank you for that, because where I want to always differentiate myself with people is that it's not just to criticize, but it's also to advise, right? And so when we start talking about the plan, I would try to go some of the key sectors, right? We can go through every single sector, but I will go over some of the key sectors. And then if you want, we can even dive deeper, because this is why I'm saying when Seleke talked about, the election in 2023, my idea is that I don't think people wanted to listen. People had already decided which way they wanted to go. But Liberia needs to now transform into a country that starts to listen to people's plans, right? And so let's start with the education sector, which is the very foundation of how we will develop our country. Right now, let's be very honest with each other. We are graduating people from high school who can barely read and write. We take to be more important the diploma than the education. As long as the person got the diploma, they don't care if they're educated. The exact policy that I always talked about, if God can bless us, right, and we can have this type of transformation in the country, Liberia will fundamentally change and be a leading country in West Africa within a few short years. Every single person in Liberia who graduates from high school must be afforded 2 years of technical and vocational training, so that when you graduate with a diploma in one hand, in your right hand, in your left hand, you're a carpenter, you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you are something. So the country of Liberia has to do two things when we talk about education. Triple the amount of investment that goes into early childhood education from first grade to sixth grade. That is the very foundation. We must make sure we build the foundation of the young people of this country, first grade to sixth grade. Let sixth graders be reading like how our 12th graders read right now. Once we do that, then when you start talking about 10th, 11th, 12th grade, we make sure that everybody has technical vocational training. If we do that, when people graduate high school, they're now running to go look for a government job. They're not running to go sit at UL right now, which has no enough chairs and in darkness. They are themselves going to say, we want to have our own businesses. Even if you're in Monrovia, I can go to Greenville and start my own construction business. I can be a carpenter, be a plumber. Say that again?
Yeah, can I engage you with regard to that plan about investment in education?
Early education, yes.
Early education. It means that you are now talking about a plan for that's close to 12, maybe a 20 years plan. You're not talking about one that could have immediate effect, because if you start with I'm coming. The problem that confront the country now, because of course, if you invest in early education, you're investing for the future. Of course, you're not hoping to turn around. Perhaps that investment you're talking about will not be realized even in your lifetime.
But that's why I told you two things. That's why I said early education and immediate technical vocational training, so you can do both. My point is early childhood education, so we can stop the stem of this illiteracy that's happening in our country when our children are just going to school not to get educated. When you're sitting there in classroom, there's no electricity, there's no books, there's no blackboard, nothing. You're just sitting on there. So we have to invest to stem the tide. So 20 years from now, we're still not graduating people like that. But in the immediate future, we're talking about a serious investment of hundreds of millions of dollars immediately in technical and vocational training for everybody who is graduating. I can always say, even if I was to become president today, all high school graduations will stop. It would have to stop so that we can make sure that now we can make sure that we have plumbers, carpenters, electricians, people like that who are graduating high school. They can immediately not only start to make not only will they be in a position, right, to fend for themselves and be able to create their own jobs without having to depend on government jobs, but they can also help to build the country. So that's why it's a two-folded plan. Early childhood education and technical vocational training for the young people. And if it was even to be ambitious enough, we would be able to say technical vocational training for anybody under the age of 35 or 40, so that not only are the younger people who are graduating from high school, but also with one or two generations who have been left out of any planning process. That's why it's a two-front approach: early childhood education and people who are graduating right now. Those two things in education will fundamentally change this country, and that's exactly how Germany was able to overcome when they finished their devastating war in World War II. That's exactly what Germany did. The thing about developing a country like Liberia is now we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to take the best practices from all over the world and come and apply it here. So that's what I would do for education. That would be the main thing, inclusive of making sure that we have state-of-the-art technical vocational colleges in every single county, in every single capital city. Example, let's look at the budget this year. Maryland Technical Vocational College, $200,000 was allocated to them. The same budget, $500,000 was allocated to scratch cards. So when we start talking about immediate dividends, these are the things we have to look at. So that's education. Let's go to agriculture. And I briefly talked about agriculture. We have 15 counties. We import over 75% of the food we eat in Liberia is not from Liberia. We have a country where we wait for people in Guinea to send us pepper. We have a country where we have such a fertile land. So 15 counties, every single county will become food production zones in Liberia. Like I said, talking about how Liberians live like it's 1925, Liberians also farm in Liberia like it's 1925. We don't have any proper irrigation. We don't have any mechanized farming, none of that. People are still going to the farm with hook in the hand to be hooking the ground for one day. Something that can be done in 5
what
minutes.
What is government role in that? What is government role in that?
Government role in that is to do two things. A, to ensure that we have a private sector where people can come in. A government has to be able to look at any private sector around the world, right? So a company that does agriculture and be able to say, come and invest $50 million in Liberia, and as a government, we will back you. You will not lose. That's the government's role in that, to ensure that the private sector is alive in this country. And that's government role. Government role is to be able to say, any company that wants to come and invest in Liberia, we have 10,000 acres in Nimba, we have 10,000 acres in Lofa, we have 10,000 acres in Sino, we have 10,000 acres in Maryland, we have 10,000 acres in every single county. And it's for you for free if you come and do mechanized and advanced farming in this country and employ Liberians. That's the government's role.
Thank you.
That's the government's role.
Thank you, guys.
To be able to. I'm sorry, say that.
1 minute, Doc. Guys, let's keep it brief because we got a lot of panelists here. They all want a piece of this man. So let's
no problem.
let me welcome Robert Garguah.
No, but I hope I answered some. We didn't even get through, but anyway, we'll get to it.
I will keep engaging you.
Okay.
But yeah.
Seleke, 1 minute, please. Let me welcome Sarah Dopoh. Sarah, welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gayman. Thank you. I want to say hi to everyone, to our guest, Dr. Moniba. I want to say hello and thank you so much for coming on to, kind of enlighten us about some of the things you plan to do if elected as president. I was in the back listening to the conversation and it's very interesting. So I'm just standing here and, listening to everything. Very great conversation. Thank you so much. Thanks to the followers.
Sarah, please. Sarah Dopoh comes from our health sector, so she would be interested in health questions. So stay tight. Let me welcome.
We'll get to help us, Sarah. Please. I'm so sorry, Jerome. I just wanted to say this right now, and this sounds, but right now it's not even about campaigning or me wanting to be president. Right now, the things I'm saying are things that Liberia should be talking about doing. The people who are in leadership.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
It's not about, it's not even about me saying, I want to be president, so let's do this. I'm seeing President Boyka, the administration, the lawmakers, y'all do this now. Because if President Boyka succeeds, that means Liberia succeeds. That means I personally can succeed.
Absolutely.
So, and the only reason I say that is because sometimes people will be listening and say, that politics he's doing because he won't be president. No, let President Boyka do this right now. Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you. Let me welcome Jackson Seaton. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back. And Dr. Moniba, I've been following some of your discussion over the past few days, and I'm glad that you have mustered the courage to come and engage with us so that we can ask you those hard questions on how you hope to transform Liberia, if indeed you are elected president in the future.
Thank you. Let me welcome Honorable J. Victor Nagbe, the Global Secretary General for the CMC. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gayman. It's good to be here. Dr. Moniba, a big fan. I've watched you from a distance. It's finally good to be here with you. Welcome on set.
Thank you. My goal is to have you put down a CMC hat and come join me after this call.
Okay. Let me welcome Robert Garguah Jr. from the ATL. Welcome to the show.
Great, Mr. Jerome. Great to be back on again. All these guys that are coming on when we have guests on, they should be fined, and next time they shouldn't be allowed to come. Dr. Peabody.
Robert, you're right though. You're right though.
They shouldn't just be coming on when we have guests on. This is
you're right. Robert, you're right though. You're right.
This
You're
is
right.
for every day.
Robert, can we talk about that in the chat room?
This is a
Oh, come
everyday.
on.
Talk
No,
about
I'm
that in
just
the
saying.
bag.
Wait,
No, no. This is a every. Well, 1 second. I mean, don't interrupt my
that's right.
welcome.
That's right.
This is an everyday engagement, and so we should come and talk Liberia every day, whether we have a guest or not. But great, always great having Dr. Moniba on. I think, I mean, he's eloquent and he's intelligent. He's very detailed, and always good listening to him. So it's great to engage you again, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is going to Johnny, but Dr. Moniba, I know you know this. When they start praising you and say you did that, they come with that low blow. Watch out.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Johnny, Johnny, let's do one question each for now. Go ahead, Johnny.
All right, thank you, Dai. You know, Dai is not strange to me. So I'd like to give my time out to Sarah. So let me be the last. Let the other guys do their questions. I'll be the last. So Sarah can take my time.
Johnny, you got no question, but just observe today.
Let's see. The man said he's saving the best for last. Sarah, your question to the doc.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. And as I was listening to you, you struck a very, very important, point, especially with regards to what the government can do now to change certain things, regardless of politics. It doesn't matter whether you're in government, whether you are elected or not, but what the government can do now, which is very important to me because our people are going through a lot right now. So my question would be, do you really think that politics, as we see it in our country right now, is hindering our progress in terms of development, in terms of what we need to do as a country to move our people, to move our country forward and do a lot of things for our people in the health sector, especially, and any other things? Do you think politics is in the way here, and what can we do to change it?
And honestly, politics has completely, I don't even know how to say it, but politics is actually spoiling our country right now. Right, and let's look at a typical example. T5, and he joined UP the other day.
Yeah.
And now they seen one that was costing 6 months ago. Right, but now he's a savior.
Yes.
Right, he didn't come. And again, T5, is a brother of mine. He's a friend of mine. I know him well. I'm just trying to use him as an example.
Right.
That they cost every single day. He just came. Say, on your side now. Oh, the man could. No discussion on politics, no discussion on policies, nothing. It's just, he wearing our color now. So the color, the green, the blue, the politics, the Bati, Amanda, that has completely undermined the true development of this country because unfortunately for us, similar to how people love their tribes and their counties more than they love Liberia, which is unfortunately a true fact in Liberia. The fact that by the time somebody says they won't be president or they won't run for something, they say, where that man from? By the time they say some tribe, they'll say, oh yeah, that's my countryman. We're behind him. The same way how we have become so tribal in Liberia that it has undermined our sense of love for the country. It's the same way, unfortunately, people are starting to love their politics and their parties more than they love our country. And because of that, no matter what happens, right now, the way I'm talking, right, and the people from UP or wherever, the way I'm talking, some people are sitting down very vexed. As much as I'm making sense, they're vexed. Why? Because I'm not part of them. And so because of that, they won't even try to listen to sense. All they will do is that man against us. What is the word opposition? I can get so vexed sometimes when people call me opposition. Oh, that man are opposition. What am I opposing? If I'm opposing anything, it's stupid ideas that is not moving the country forward. So, politics, to your point, Sarah, is simply, it has overcome our sense of responsibility in the country. It should be God, country, before anything else. But in Liberia, unfortunately, it's God, then tribe, and then party, and then this, and then that, and then 5th, 6th, 7th before you get to Liberia. That's why when people enter political offices or appointed offices, the first thing they ask, how can I get my own 5%?
That's true. You're right. I agree. But how can you from your perspective as a leader, and then maybe a future leader, what can you do to change that? Where can we start from?
And so this is why when I talk, honestly, there's only so much you can do, right? And so this is why when I talk, and sometimes, and I hope the Liberian people can either see or hear my passion. Because the only thing we can do is to continue to talk to the Liberian people to say, forget this party business and ask the question first, what are your plans or your policies, right? Let's look at, again, 2004, there was election. 2005, there were elections, like every single period. Honestly, sit down right now and ask anybody who has become president and seriously sit down and say, what did the president really say they were going to do in detail, right? The questions are being asked. What did they say? Besides, let's just talk about arrest. What does arrest mean? Agriculture, roads, I forget the other one. Anyway, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's one thing to say arrest, but then how are we going to implement? It's not the what that we need to do, it's the how. So once people start to ask the how of all the leaders of this country, then we will start to hopefully develop the country without thinking about party, without thinking about party politics. Liberians need to think more on ideology. How can we transform Liberia as opposed to this man is my countryman from my county, or this man is my political party person. Once we can change that, and the only thing I can do is continue to talk. Continue to go around the country, continue to come on platforms like this. That's why I'm so appreciative to platforms like this, where you'll come from people from all walks of life and discuss the issues. The hope is that, and this, this is, there's some platforms like this that's more mature in their discussions, which is what we need. There's other ones that just, they just want to push and fill the air. So we have to be careful how we talk to the Liberian people, how we engage the Liberian people, and what we take as important to the Liberian people. And then that's how we'll change our country. But, my job is to continue to talk.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you are just joining us, we have Dr. Moniba, who is enlightening us, teaching. We're getting the tutorial in everything else. So if you have questions, put it in the comment section. Let me go to Honorable Victor Nagbe. Victor Nagbe, your guest.
Hey, Dr. Moniba, I'm back again. So again, let me welcome you.
How are you, Victor?
I'm well, man. I'm well. It's good to have you on set. Let me ask you this. Look, you worked with Joe Boakai, the current president. You were Minister of State with our portfolio, which I presume put you into very close proximity to him as vice president. Now you're running against him in 2029, which indicates to me that you're not satisfied with the way he's governing this country. So I'll ask you, when you served with Madam Sirleaf, most of what is happening now happened when you were with President Sirleaf. The corruption, the outchildren all over the government. I mean, the civil mining case, we remember that. She refused to act until a foreign government had to come in and sanction Vanisham and the rest of them. Most of the people are still walking around with the loot, Maurice Settlement and the rest of them. So I think the president is continuing the UP tradition, which I presume you are not satisfied with. That's why you're trying to unseat him. So I want you to tell me, what is it that you are going to do so differently from the UP culture? What's going to set you apart from that culture for which we should look at line when you become president of Liberia?
First, Victor, I think you just did breaking news announcing that President Boakai will be running in 2029.
No, I meant you.
So, I think that's very much breaking news, Victor. So congratulations on that. But, to be honest with you, I don't know what his plans are. I know in 2017, he said he was going to do one term. He wasn't afforded that one term in 2017. So in 2023, he did campaign saying that he was only going to do one term and then turn it over to the young people of this country. So, we continue to hold him at his word. So, but, again, at this point in time, the idea and the question you asked is very valid in the sense of what's the difference. As Minister of State with our portfolio under President Sirleaf, as head of the presidential delivery unit where
Delivery unit, that's right. That's right.
Where I oversaw most of the implementation in this country. As chairman of LEC, where I was fortunate enough to help to finalize the negotiation for Mount Coffee Hydro, and so many other projects that I'm so proud to say I was a part of. The idea is this, right? And the same issues that are going now that you just talked about, the challenge that Liberia has had in successive governments is that nobody has gone to jail for corruption. So what you have to be able to do, right? What we have to be able to do as a nation is to start to put people in jail and hold them accountable. I was talking about it earlier. The two issues in Liberia are this. We don't implement what we say we want to do, and we don't hold people accountable when they should be held accountable. So no matter what government that takes over this country or takes leadership in this country, if they don't do those two fundamental things, Liberia will never develop. And so I know President Boyka very well. In my position, I would, I think every 2 weeks, I forget the schedule, but I would always brief him on where we were with our road development and investments, looking for money around the country. So I know President Boyka very well, and I always say I wish him 100% success, because if he succeeds, then all of us on this platform will be succeeding. So I really truly hope that he listens to some of the advice that he's getting from people like us who are not in government. I don't have to work in government. I'm not looking for a job in terms of an appointed position in his government. So what I'm talking about is just things that I hope him and his advisors can start to implement so that Liberia can be better tomorrow than what we have today. But
so thank you for that. Let me ask you, are you surprised or disappointed, given just the vice president Boyka you knew that you work together, and looking at what is happening now? Are you disappointed? Are you surprised? Are you shocked? Or are you satisfied with what's happening?
You are only going to, as a president, I know this very well, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And President Boyka has surrounded himself with some very good people. And I stress the word some. But there are some people who I know all of these people in government. Like I said, the last couple of weeks where I've been talking about the budget, lawmakers been calling me, "Moment, what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to do?" So I know a lot of the ministers. I know a lot of these people, and a lot of them, right? A lot of times people can attack me to say, "Oh, why you didn't support the old man in the second round?" Because I had a lot of discussions with some of the people who were around him, and I know for a fact what they wanted to do, what they were planning to do. So yes, there are some very good people around President Boyka. I don't want to start naming people before I leave somebody out and then they say, but then there are some very, I don't even want to say, but there are not good people around him.
Let's go good and not good. Let's just
good and not good. Let us say that. So, and so because of that, as the president, as the leader, and that's why it's so important, right, that you have a leader who has the ability to go around, to engage with people, who has the energy, the strength, the opportunity to be able to engage with so many people, to move around the country and actually see. Because if you're a president, they're sitting down, the only thing you will get is what they're reporting. And guess what? They will only report the good news. And so that's why we need leaders to be able to actually hold people's feet to the fire. We need people who can not only ask the technical questions, but then can go out and verify for themselves. So, listen, I'm assuming, I haven't talked to President Boyka, to be honest with you, in a while. Like I continue to say, I wish him well. But these are things that we have to continue to point out as people who are not in the government but want to see the country do well.
Thank you. Mr. Seaton.
Thank you very much, Dr. Monimba. Thank you for coming on this show. I'm a lifelong educator, and so my question is going to be based on education. I stumbled upon I did a research recently in Liberia, and I find out that a lot of, for example, the 2022 census indicated that there are 1.7 million school-age children below the age of 15 in Liberia. Out of that amount, 550,000 are not in school. Only 1.2 million of them are in school. Now, because of that, I don't know, what is your plan to improve education, but let me give you another twist. The same information that I gathered from Liberia is this. The school feeding program. Liberia does not have a standalone school feeding program. And you know the vast majority of our people live in abject poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And the school feeding program is an intervention program to help most of our, to serve as some kind of a social safety net for people to send their children to school so that they can have meals. Now, out of this 1.2 million children that are in school, the current school feeding program only targets 200,000. So it tells us that 1 million children every day goes to school hungry. Now, the Liberian government, in a recent document that I have in my possession, indicated that they are willing to scale up the program. But guess what? In the national budget, only $1 million is allocated for the school feeding program.
Thank you.
On an average, to feed a child for about 200 days in a school year, in country like in an African country, it costs about $40. So if you do the math, you multiply 1.2 million by 40, that's 48 million. It takes to feed all of the children that are in school now, those that are below 15 years of age. I'm not talking about those that are above 15 years of age, because we are trying to concentrate on primary education, because the government indicated that, look, they want to meet the Sustainable Development Goal, which says that by 2030, every child will have the ability to read and live their full potential around the world. So my question to you is, in the midst of all of these that I've just talked about, what will you do differently to improve the school feeding program, and also to make sure that majority of our kids have access to education? Because the education reform out of 2011 says that primary education is free. But when you factor in all of the different costs that is associated with sending or parents sending their children to school, the vast majority of parents, if they got 5 children, they will send 1. 3 will leave home. Why? Because they don't have the money. They can't afford it to send all of those children at once. So my question to you, what will you do differently?
Thank you. No, but honestly, Jackson, you asked the question and then you answered the question, to be frank with you, right? Because you told us, and honestly, I didn't even know that stat. So I'm glad you said that. So now just going forward when I'm having these conversations, but it's simple. We just said that we need $40 to feed a child. We need $48 million for school feeding program. People overlook, in Liberia, we talk about stunting. We always talk about, the training tight. What we don't realize, right, is that not only are they tight and they're not growing because they don't have enough food, but also the brain is not developing. How can we then educate our children when they're sitting down? Again, let me go back to what I was saying. They're sitting down on the dead floor, going to 263 towns and villages. I saw places that they call school that it shouldn't even be homeless. It shouldn't even be homeless shelter. But yet our children were sitting there acting like they're going to school. So the thing about school feeding is very simple. It is not an option. It's a necessity. So when we talk about that, this government needs to call back this budget because it is not transformational. You just hit it right on the head. How can we truly say we want to educate the children of Liberia and they are not fed? We put $1 million in the budget that I promise you, every other government official, every other political office will get all of the funding before they even look at that $1 million to start giving. I promise you, when we look at the actual real numbers at the end of next year, maybe they'll get $500,000-$600,000 of that money. Maybe. And that's why government is such a ripple effect, because it would be that $1 million would go so much further if we were growing our own rice in this country, if we were growing our own food in this country. In Rwanda, I will continue to talk about Rwanda because I've been doing so much study and cases on Rwanda. Rwanda, the president of Rwanda gave every single family in this country, in the rural areas, one cow, a female cow, and then they will pregnate that cow for them for $3, just to make sure that every single child in the rural areas were drinking milk every single day. This is what we call transformational thinking, to make sure that the young people of this country are drinking milk. The cows will provide enough meat for the family. They're pregnanting the child, the cow, for $3 each. So again, going back to our particular situation, the $1 million in the budget lets you know we are not serious about child school feeding programs. It's not, because you cannot go to the World Bank. You cannot go to African Development Bank and say, please help feed our children. And they say, how much did you put there? You say, oh, we put $1 million there. They would take us serious?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But again, and let me just say this. Out of that $1 million, that $1 million is just 1% of the amount that is going to feed to the school feeding program. 99% of the funding that goes to the school feeding program comes from international sources. And with the United States now suspending international aid, so that's the question. Where does the money come from when you have, let's say, you put a lot of money in the budget for gas slip, for scratch card, all of this unnecessary stuff, and at the detriment of the vast majority of the poor people.
No, but again, and honestly, all of us sitting out here, all of us are very smart people. We know the answers, where the money comes from. The money comes from the over $10 million that's going to be spent on fuel, on senators getting $2,000 every single month for fuel. They're running, each senator is running their own gas station, right? Then you go to the lawmakers, the representatives, who are probably making the same amount of money, but everything is secret because we don't know about it. Right? Then they go to the $8,000 minimum each of them receiving. Then the $45,000 car that each of them getting. So we know where the money should come from. And that's why it's so important that we have the leadership that can truly look at this budget and say we are starting all over from scratch. Because right now, this budget, all we have to do is just go back 20 years. This same budget, all we've been doing every year is we'll add 1% to this line item, 1% to this line item. We have never truly looked at the budget and said, how can we truly develop our country? School feeding program should be one of the first things when we talk about education in Liberia. How do we feed the children of Liberia so when they're sitting down in class, they're not hungry? Because if you are hungry, you cannot learn. It is impossible. A 7-year-old cannot focus on ABC if their stomach growling. It can't happen. And so that's why, again, as a country, we have to start to prioritize what's important to the development of Liberia. Education. I think before you came on, Jackson, we talked about early childhood education. How can we increase the budget, increase the amount of teachers, increase the facilities? Because they're not just, putting money to get more teachers. No. How many schools in Liberia got science laboratories? How many schools in Liberia got libraries? How many schools in Liberia even got computers? So we are not educating the young people of Liberia.
I don't know whether they even have those statistics.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Robert Garguah.
Oh, Robert Down? I thought about that.
No, you
man, how can it be your time when you talk?
You ain't got
how
no
can
time.
it be your time when you talk 10 minutes again?
They ain't got no time here, man.
How about the day I want to push? The day I want to push, man.
Go ahead, man. You not eat up all your time. Go ahead.
Yeah, you eat up all your time. But listen,
I think the urban man wants to create a welfare state. That's why.
Dr. Clarence, welcome to the closing argument.
Thank you.
It's always an intriguing conversation whenever you appear on here and elsewhere. So thank you for that, and I also must commend your courage to continue doing what you're doing. Can we mute ourselves, please?
Yeah, guys, please mute. If it's not Sarah, Sarah is muted, so it gotta be Truth in Ink. Truth in Ink, you sleeping? We're gonna analyze that. Thank you, somebody like Beauty.
Yeah. Yeah, he's listening to something else too. But I don't think that we have, and we can talk about this however we want to talk about it. But I've continued to say that I don't think we have a shortage of young, smart, capable leaders in Liberia.
I agree.
And you are an example of that.
Thank you.
And fortunately, you are not alone. There are many young Liberians in Liberia and outside of Liberia that are capable enough. I think the problem is the lack of an informed system, right? Where it seems from our perspective, voters, they care genuinely about change, but they don't quite know what it entails, right? Or what it looks like, right? And it seems like they are under some sort of political spell, right? I think it has proved, it's proved to be a challenge getting voters to see that what we have tried uh, year after year and years after years, decades after decades, hasn't worked. Hasn't worked. I'm sorry, I had a call coming in. Hasn't worked, and the idea of trying something different or doing it differently, I think has been the most daunting task. Liberia has a very youthful population. About 63% of Liberians are below the age of 25, between 25 to 40. And I think based on the last United Nations report, a little over 30% of Liberians are between the ages of 10 to 24 years old. And you are a young person. Every time you talk to people, young Liberians that are, have so much to offer, they're often told, listen, you have age on your side, you still got time, wait your turn, let the older people run, which I think is nonsense. But with such a youthful population, and you have all these old folks, 81 years old, 85 years old, 60 years old, 75. Listen, I have nothing against age, right? What I am saying is, what is the plan, right, to really get the young population in Liberia to understand that their future risk, being hopeless if we continue down this path, right? What do you plan to get the message to them? Because everything you said, I agree with you. I agree 100%. But when you talk about accountability and the fact that we as leaders have failed to hold folks accountable, I think the number one accountability starts with voters, we the people. And the question I continue to ask myself, have we held our voters accountable? And the answer to that is no. Because if we were holding our voters accountable based on our own standards and our own expectation, a lot of these recircled of politicians would not be allowed. We will vote in people with new ideas, people with a plan. We haven't done that. So what is your plan to really get your message out to voters to just break it down to them and understand, listen, this is our turn. We have what it takes to change the trajectory of this country. This is 2025, right? We know what leadership looks like. We know what it means to really, we know what true change means. And we have what it takes to get the job done. The job that the leaders, the old folks and folks that have been around have not done. How do you intend to get the message out to them? Because you can stay all day and talk all the beautiful things and all of the great ideas. Voters are listening to something different at the ballot box, and they continue to make the same wrong choices. What is their plan to tap into them for them to grasp what it is that you're saying? Because I concur with everything you're saying. I think you deserve a chance.
Thank you.
And thank you for that, Robert. And honestly, that's the frustrating part, right? That we have in Liberia. Nobody will be. Listen, at the end of the day, I honestly don't think we as young people truly believe in ourselves. I remember when I first started to think about running, I had a couple of people in my house and we're engaging. And so this one girl asked a question. She said, "Oh, but why you down there with, the old man wants to run? Why you down there wait for him?" Now I just simply asked her, I said, "Who's the best president you think has been in the US for the last 15 years? She said, "Oh, Obama." I said, "He was 44. I'm 44 years old. I'm the same age. So why are you telling me I'm too young to be president of Liberia when you are in the same breath telling me President Obama at 44 years old, when he started running, it was old enough to run and rule like in the United States?" So at the end of the day, I truly don't believe that we as young people, two things: A, we don't truly believe in each other, and B, we don't support each other. There's so many young people that I have interacted with, right? And one time I was making a joke with one of them. I won't say the person he was supporting, but we're talking about something, and he said, "Yeah, my man, man, I really like you when you speak. I really like you." But I said, "But you're supporting somebody else." So I said, "You know what happened? In the next election, nobody over the age of 60 should be president in this country." He said, "Yeah." And then immediately it hit him because his man that he's supporting would be over 70. He said, "No, no, 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 no." So the idea is, if our young people, because I say it, but listen, the generations before us has failed us. Let's truly say it like it is. The generations before us has failed us. There's no way around it. When you look at the country, you go to our hospitals, when you drive on our streets, you walk our streets, you know for a fact the generation have failed us. So there's not, they can advise us, but they're not going to be telling us, "Oh, this is how we did it and that's why it works." So us as young people now have to have the courage. And, people being saying, "Oh, thank you for your courage." Because honestly, to be on this camera talking like this with confidence, and going against a bigger system, you really have to be committed to a cause. And I'm truly committed to this cause, right? We want to see better leadership in Liberia. We want to see a transformed leadership in Liberia. We don't want to see a budget that 90% goes to politicians. We have to blow up this entire budget. And the only thing, when we talk about revolutionaries in Africa, when we talk about true transformation in Africa, who has done it? It's been the younger generation. Everybody right now praising Tuareg in Burkina Faso. If Tuareg would have come to Liberia, the way how we're going to make fun of him. Who you think you are? Where you from? Down your town, way small. Who know you? We would have discouraged this man so bad, but the fact that he's in Burkina Faso doing so well, everybody praising, "Oh, the young man. Right? Let's go to Thomas Sankara. Let's go to all the revolutionaries around Africa. They were younger. So us as young people now, we have to understand that change starts with us. And that's what we have to start to understand. Once we understand that, then Liberia will have the opportunity and chance to start to move forward.
Let me ask you. Can I ask one last question?
No, 1 minute, real quick before we go. Let me make our plea to our friends and families. We have a group of young men and women on the ground that do help us carry our show. We want to make Christmas great for them this year. So we are asking you to please help us out. Make any donation that is within reach, so these young men and women can have a better Christmas. Times are hard. The country is hard. Don't listen to what Garguah said. The economy grew 4.9% and all that nonsense. These people cannot feel it. The country is hard. So if you have the time, we have here our Cash App. It's the $ TCA 2500. If you are comfortable with Zelle, our Zelle number is 678-438-3003. Cash App, the $ TCA 2500. If you got Zelle, it's 678-438-3003. Be a good giver. Put a smile on somebody's face in Liberia. These young men, when you turn your TV on, they are in Nimba, they're in Bassa, they're all over the place, on motorcycles. As risky as it is, just to bring us the news. So Christmas time, they deserve a little pat on the back. Send a $25, send a $50. And to those of you that have already made your contribution, we want to say thank you, God bless you. And if you want to do it for the second time, like Jed has done, she had done it 4 times. Thank you very much. And guys, let's do the best we can to put a smile on the faces
I
of these.
will make my contribution to this cause as well, even though they didn't want to let me in.
It's all right.
Even though they didn't want to let me in,
I like it when you kick the door down. How you do it, kick the door down and say. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not donated, please donate. But this is what we say: topics that we discuss here sometimes may make you very uncomfortable. It may not be the most popular thing, but it is the right thing because they are researched. We don't go by hearsay. We're not cussing mom here. We are here to bring the news. It will not be sanitized. We say if you don't want to be in the news, if you do not want to be discussed, then don't get in the news. But once you are on the newspapers, I will pick you up. Dr. Moniba, before I go back to Robert for his last question, you wrote an editorial piece. You said Liberia is too rich to be this poor. I want you to discuss that right after Robert. Robert, go ahead.
Thank you. So no, Telvi, I'm not saying we should hold voters accountable. I think maybe you misunderstood what I said. And what I'm saying is, in order for our leaders to hold those that they appoint accountable, we who elect them must hold them accountable, right? Because if we're not holding them accountable, then they won't hold those that they have appointed to help them implement what they promised to us that they will implement. So I'm not asking us to hold voters accountable. I'm saying we have not held our leaders accountable. Mr. Doc, are you willing, right? 2029, are you willing to collaborate? I don't like this whole political negotiations because I don't think it's gotten us anywhere, especially when the objective is to just remove the incumbent, right? But just based on what you've done, and are you open to any possible collaboration come 2029? And just add this one there, based on what you've seen so far under this administration, are you hopeful that they can make any significant progress?
I'm prayerful. I'm prayerful that they can make progress. I would say it again: their success will be all of our success. But at the end of the day, if they do not blow this budget up, what progress are we going to make? And Jerome said it earlier. If 90% of the money goes to recurring costs and salaries and travel and expenses, it's impossible to be successful. So when you talk about, the budget grew, the market woman in Waterside will never see the budget growing. She's not feeling the effect. The only effect is I don't even know what the effect is, to be honest with you. And so that's why when we sit down and say, we need to add 14 lawmakers, for what reason? Justify that. And the problem and the reason why, going back to your point, Robert, about the reason why it's so difficult for voters to hold leaders accountable is because the vote.
I think he's froze. He's coming back.
Yes.
He's coming back.
Someone, Dr. Peabody, please call the NSA director, tell him to cut it out. We want this man to speak.
No, but I Rwanda now, so he got a call.
I told you, someone mentioned the NSA
No, it's not in Rwanda, in abroad.
Go ahead, Doc.
I think it's in abroad.
I have somebody again who is fairly high up in government sending me a text right now, like, well, man, and so like all of us are friends. But listen, you go to Capitol building, right? You walk the halls of Capitol building, and I go see a senator, I go see a representative, and when you enter, there's like 15, 20 people waiting to beg for money. We have turned the voters into beggars. One time, I didn't know where the vice president lived, Kuhn. I didn't know where Vice President Kuhn lived. So I was on the highway going, and it was a Saturday morning. I saw a long line of people. Couldn't have been less than 35 people, minimum 35 to 50 people standing in line. So I asked my driver, I said, but what's going on there? He said, the vice president house. That's the type of government we run in this country. That's the type of government we run, where it's impossible for our people to hold leaders accountable because we are begging them. How can you hold somebody accountable when you go begging him for school fee? How can you hold somebody accountable when you go begging him to pay your mom hospital bill? You can't. Nothing you will say. So anything they do, you fine with it. So if we want to transform and have people holding leaders accountable, we have to empower them. And how do we empower them? By educating them. How do we empower them? By making sure they have access to loans and skill training and education, so they don't have to run to Rwanda for education. They don't have to go to Uganda for education. That's how we empower people to hold leaders accountable. But the system in Liberia will never allow people to be accountable, and that's what we like. That's what the leaders who have been in power over and over again, they continue to perpetuate the same thing, because when they get there, they don't want to spoil anything. So when we have something as simple as legislative, what we calling it, legislative fund, and what we can call it, right?
Yeah.
That is bold-faced corruption. There's no other way to put it, huh?
Legislative engagement.
Yeah, legislative engagement, funding, or that is bold-faced corruption. It's not the lawmaker's job to implement any project. Why is that? Why is $100,000 each person being allocated? What is the superintendent there for? What's the development superintendent there for? What's the mayor for? So we don't empower our local governments, and then we expect a government to run. It will not run.
So are you open to any collaboration come 2029? That's why I asked.
Listen, I'm open to 100%. Let me just put it that way. 100%. We are looking to work with anybody who can talk like us. Anybody who wants to address government issues like we do. We are 100% open to talk to collaborate with anybody who wants this. Right? It's not about the same cycle of typical politicians who will go to eat their own. No, we don't want to collaborate with that. Right?
Let me add, Mr. Gayman. Can I ask one question?
TBK, I'm coming to you next. Go ahead, Doc.
Dr. Moniba, let me say this.
Let me come here, Peabody, please.
You guys are two people that
gonna be on your party.
When you guys are two people that have listened to, and you guys know what you want. You're not the kind of people who trying to figure out what it's like, or when people ask you a question, what it's like. You and Alexander Cummings, Mr. Cummings can tell you exactly what he wants to do. I mean, I've listened to you guys. How do you guys get along as politicians? Do you guys ever meet and chit-chat and talk about how you can come up or how you can recommend to the government? Are the political parties in Liberia, are they just in that self-centered, they don't want to engage? What are some of your engagement with other political parties, other opposition parties? What is the engagement?
Us at Liberian National Union, LINU, first, I always have to make the pitch, right? Because we have our 30-year anniversary coming up April 11th. We are one of the oldest parties in Liberia. We are the only party that has had their own party headquarters for 30 years. I'm so proud of that fact. That shows stability. That shows continuity. 30 years we've had one single political office headquarters. But listen, the last time I saw Mr. Cummings, to be honest with you, his wife cooked for me and him. So, we have a very good relationship. I visited, the last time I saw him, yes, it was at his place, and his wife cooked for us, and we sat down and we had a conversation for 2 hours. The whole idea is that how can we all like-minded people come together to transform the country? And so, like I said, for me, I'm open to collaboration with anybody. The people, us here at Liberian National Union, we are open to collaboration with anybody who has like minds. No one person can.
Real quick, Doctor, not to cut you off, but when was the last time you met with Musa Ability, Honorable Musa Ability? So you.
Honestly,
Yeah, Mr. Gayman.
I'm trying to remember.
That's a fair question, right?
Well,
It's
this
not a fair
CMC thing here, you all gotta wait. Yes,
It's not.
CMC. You're
It's
rushing.
not a fair question, Mr. Gayman.
I didn't call CMC knee. I said when they call comedy, did I say ANC? Nobody said ANC when you call comedy. I'm just asking a simple question. When was the last time you met with?
But you cut the man off. You cut the man off. I wanted to ask when the last time you met with CMC.
I'm just. They call that interjection. I'm just interjecting. Why he's at it? He can answer. Dr. Moniba, what was the last time you met with Musa Ability?
I have a question. After you provide answer, I have a question.
No, but man, y'all not give me chin, huh?
Where you at, man?
My man, Mr. Gayman is going by the order. Give me the.
I'm going by the order, man. You gotta wait for your Dr. Moniba. When was the last time you met with Musa Ability?
After that,
Seleke, I didn't call you. Yeah. But someone called ANC, you ready to come. Dr. Moniba, when was the last time you met with Musa Ability?
Honestly, it's been a while, and so I will make up for that. I will go meet him. You know, like I said, everybody. You know, we are all trying to see and build a better Liberia in our own way. Everybody got their own way. But yeah, I haven't met Musa in a while. But you know, Liberia small. Y'all know Liberia small, so I know people who are very close to him. I'm trying to recruit some of his people, and he's trying to recruit some of my people. So we inside, but you know, like at the end of the day, we'll meet. When the time comes to meet, we'll meet. Put it that way.
To be fair, the Dopoh people say, when was the last time you met with George Weah? So my hand clean. You see, Sarah Dopoh, you see my hand clean. I see George Weah.
You see, for him, when they were trying to get us to endorse in the second round. That's the last time I met with him. That's the last time I met with Picasso. You know, listen, like Liberia small, all of us need to learn how to get together. The problem is, right, and what I continue to say, we all need to be very clear. We need to start to take our egos out of this. We don't need politicians. Liberia has too many politicians in Liberia. We need technicians. And that's the difference that we continue to face in this country. Oh, the men are good politicians. What does good politician mean in Liberia? That means giving brown bag. That means giving money. We need technicians now to actually solve the problem. And that's where I think my strong suit is. And not to talk about anybody else, but simply, I truly don't believe nobody can sit down on camera like this and go through some of these questions. I truly don't believe people at that level can do it, to be honest with you. And that's me, myself talking. And we need leaders who can be able to talk development at the level I'm talking development. If your leader can't do that, move from behind him. Say, I like you. You not do plenty for me, but move from behind me.
Thank you. Seleke, move from behind him. Johnny, go ahead.
What Johnny again?
No,
okay.
Johnny,
I'm not speaking again. Okay, so my question is very simple. You know, Dr. Moniba, you want to be a leader for Liberia. You are already a leader in your own word. We had a recent situation in this country where we see the most recent past government or past party, the CDC, and the current party in a huge party headquarters competition. Where do you stand in this situation, Dr. Moniba?
You know, and that's the unfortunate part in this country, right? Because, and again, let's look at UP, right? You were in power for 12 years. 6 months after you left power, you don't have political office. 1 year later, when you take power, 1.5 years later, you can raise $1.2 million for party headquarters. So what message is that saying when our hospital, JFK, is standing there dilapidated? When our community college and our university is standing there dilapidated, and then y'all can probably announce that, oh, we raised $1.2 million. What message are we doing? So to be honest with you, we are working on something where us at Liberia National Union, we're working on trying to raise $10 million for JFK. So since UP wants to raise money for the headquarters, we are now working on raising money for JFK. And that's what we talk about when we talk about leadership that will transform this country. Let's do something that benefits millions. Let's not do something that will be. How do you raise $1.2 million on one day? Where is that money coming from? Honestly, where is that money coming from? These are questions.
In the budget.
No, but Sarah, you saying that, but that's because there are also ministers pledging that money. Where you think they're getting it from? You think they're taking it from their pocket? That operational funds they will be looking for. So let's be serious about the development of Liberia. How can you raise $1.2 million and probably announce that in a country as poor as ours? In a country where we just talked about that only $1 million going to school feeding, and then you're probably talking about $1.2 million were raised for headquarters. What would that do for the common Liberian? So these are things when we're talking, it's not just to talk. It has to be a transformational change in this country if we want Liberia to transform. It has to be transformational. It cannot be business as usual. And that's why, again, and I continue to say, people elected Boyka not for status quo. They elected him for fundamental change, transformational change. And so that's why even this budget, this budget is not good enough. We have to blow up this budget. Start all over again. Make sure our students are being fed. Make sure our hospitals are being taken care of. Make sure our doctors, make sure we are paying our civil servants $500 minimum.
Is that resonating with the people?
Listen, guys, let's
what you are saying, is it resonating with the people? Okay, I'm sorry.
We'll see. We'll see. I hope so. I hope so, because this is for the people. Why are we not paying our civil servant $500 minimum? How can we truly expect a policeman to stand under the sun, under the rain all day? And every 2 minutes, minister car go by. Every 2 minutes, lawmaker car go by. Convoy go by. All these 419 convoys in Liberia. It's too many convoys. All these 419 convoys going in Liberia. The policeman standing there, he getting paid $150. He ain't get paid in 3 months. Do we expect him not to be corrupt? We are forcing people of Liberia, the civil servants of Liberia, to be corrupt simply because we paying lawmakers and people, government officials this high. How are you paying what's that? The telecommunications board and people like that, 13, 14, 15.
The board of commissioners.
The board of commissioners. How can we truly justify $15,000, $13,000? How?
All the boards. Why is it necessary even?
Thank you. But the problem is we seeing this, right? But then the same voters that Robert and everybody was talking about, they would turn around and go stand in line and do it again. And they say we're suffering.
Thank you. Doctor, one before I go to the next one here, there are two things I want you to address. One, we addressed it yesterday, and I think it is the panacea to what we are doing. I think in one of my classes, I asked my professor why the United States just could not overthrow the regime in Cuba. And the answer was they have 100% literacy rate. You can't fool them. The opposite is true in Liberia. But before we go to that, let's take that into consideration. You said something needs to be talked about. You said they are increasing goods and services taxes from 12 to 15 to 13%. 13%. A higher tax rate means higher prices on almost every imported good, and therefore the harsher it transfer down to the market woman. Opine on that before we move to the next person here.
Again, the budget increased because we are anticipating higher taxes on goods and services. So, which is all of the things that are coming through the board. So, for example, the rice that we are not growing in Liberia that we have to get from India, guess what will happen to it? The price goes up. Every single thing we eat, every single thing we wear, everything we use, goods and services will apply to it. So it will go from 12% to 13%. So once that goes up, the price of it goes up. So the market woman has two choices. Either one, she keeps the prices the same and she takes less profit home for herself and her family to feed her family, send them to school, or she increases the price, which will ultimately happen. When that happens, the prices go up. So again, we are running a country where we continue to slowly and gradually increase the taxes on the Liberian people, but they are not seeing the dividends. They are not seeing the results. We are slow in implementation. Again, let's go to the Lofa Road, which was started in 2017. We are in 2025 right now. Guess what we're still doing? Lofa Road. That should have taken 2 years to do. So as a citizen, and you say, oh, so now my tax is going from 12 to 13%. What's the dividend? What am I benefiting? So that's why it's so difficult when they say, oh, the budget grew for 4%. I don't see it. The common person doesn't see it. And so these are the challenges that we continue to have. Leadership is something that people must feel. They can't just hear about it. And that's the trouble. And that's why the Liberian people are frustrated. And that's why a lot of Liberians, including myself, are frustrated because we travel all around the world. We see other countries moving. Look at Ghana. Why is Ghana in front of us? For what reason? But yeah, we have gold. But then there's same gold that in our country, we just taking it like this and sending it to Europe, sending it to America. Where is the benefit for Liberian people? We'll say 4-5%. What is 4-5%? Where is our gold reserve? Where is the gold reserve for Liberia if we have gold? A gold reserve that we can take anywhere around the world and get loans and get money to be able to develop our country. Where is our iron ore reserve? So these are things, again, if we truly want to develop Liberia, we have to think like this. But to think like this, we need leaders like me. Let's not beat around the bush. We need leaders who understand the idea of development at this level to be able to transform the country. And so that's why when we talk about, oh, they may not my countrymen, they may not my this, they may not my that, what is it going to do to transform our country?
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not read his editorial, it is called Liberia is Too Rich to Be Poor. Pick up a copy. The Liberian investigator carried that. It's a great. Let me go to Seleke Kromah. Your one question, then I go to the ink.
Thank you, Mr. Gayman. And Dr. Moriba, last time we had a town hall meeting, I asked you a similar question. And I want to ask you publicly about the same question, because everything you're talking about here, at the end of the day, it boils down to the Liberian people going to the pool to make a decision, which will give you an opportunity to implement those things. So what is your idea, or what is your plan towards, this political class we have in Liberia? Because here is the thing, though, you cannot despise them. They've been in Liberia, they've acquired wealth, and they are directly, they know how the people think. And they go to the people, they implement quick impact projects, send people to school, for example. Like you said, you are going through the RIA road, you saw people standing to the vice president house and all of that. And and also too, what is your response to people who say, in order to do the things you want to do, you should go by the rules. That means you should collaborate with anybody in Liberia just to get the positions. At the end of the day, you make promises to people. I will give you a job. I will send you to people. I'll make you manager, and you do all kinds of, dirty things. And at the end of the day, you are given an opportunity. You don't even want to break some of those promises. So what is your perspective about these different issues?
Honestly, the reason why we do what we do, the reason why I will be on different radio 2 days from now, the reason why I was on radio is so that the people of Liberia can hear, hopefully, sense, right? Hopefully, we can start to change the dynamic of what politics is in Liberia. The reason I talk like the way I talk, the reason why I like to be very specific in how we can transform our country is simply so that the Liberian people can understand that there is a better way. Right? So the people who you say, they have this political class, then you ask the Liberian people, are we happy with the way our country is? And you don't have to be from any political party or except you want to lie to yourself, say, yeah, we're happy with the country. Right now, anybody in any, even that the ruling political party and administration now, or the previous ones, right? God forbid they get sick right now, what are they doing? They're going JFK or they're going to RIA hospital to fly out of the country. They're leaving the country. So if that's the case, you automatically already know your country is not where it needs to be. So in order to change that, we need to change how we think. We need to change the type of leaders we want. And so that's, honestly, it's that simple.
Thank you. Ink.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of time spent, so I wouldn't go into those specific. I just would like to hear your views on some national issues, and I will name a few of them that you could respond to. One, we do have the Azan case still going on. It is my understanding that the prosecutor is still suffering in providing evidence to convict. They keep changing the polls along. In fact, they are trying to introduce new evidence. I haven't submitted the previous evidence long ago. So
for
probably
the capital,
the Anson case. That's one. Two. I would like to know your view on this issue of demarcation. Of course, the lower house just passed a bill on its way to the Senate to now increase the number of districts within the Republic. It is my understanding they're heading for around 97 of them. I know you spoke on them, but I just wanted to speak up, respond in the context of the Constitution that says after a census is conducted, the representation should reflect the number of people there. I think the previous threshold was around 55,000, and some are claiming that. So I want you to speak on that in the context of the Constitution as well. And then finally, your last work in government was, I guess, Minister of State, and a lot of the things you did was managing projects of the government, helping to coordinate that, particularly so when the government had won the last compact, when the Ellen government won compact. It is being rumored, not official, that the country is on the verge of winning another one. Now, not necessarily to say in the context of whether it's a good thing to the government who won it, but in the context of your own philosophy, your own approach to governance on the basis of this dependency syndrome, where we depend on aids and grant as opposed to perhaps digging resources from our own country to do those things, because of course the whole country is now on fire for around perhaps 200 and some more million to around 500 million compared to what we have in our country and how we can do it now. Finally, how could you have bloated the budget without increasing taxes? How could you have done it? Because if taxes is the main source by which that budget is dependent on, if you take those from there, what other means can we consider with the current situation we have right now? How could you have? How can you expand the budget without that being a part of the plan?
We have to increase the tax base, right? And the only way we can increase the tax base is if we attract more foreign direct investments, as well as empowering a lot more Liberians to create businesses in country so they become taxpayers. The reason why we continue to raise taxes is simply because we haven't been able to figure out how to increase the tax base, right? So in Liberia, there's only let's just assume 30,000 people paying taxes. So if you want more money, the 30,000 people got to pay more. Our job, our strategy, our approach should be, how do we turn the 30,000 people paying taxes into 100,000 people paying taxes, into 2 million people paying taxes? That will increase the budget as opposed to increasing taxes on the very few people who are paying. The reason why it's so expensive to get things out of the port is because that's one of the main ways we can get money in this country. So we increase the cost of the port, and the container so expensive, which ultimately makes things expensive on the market. Why is it that Guinea is so cheap? Togo is so cheap? Because these are things we have to be able to do. So if we increase the tax base, more businesses in the country, more people coming into the country, more Liberians having access to money to open businesses, then we increase the tax base. We don't have to increase the taxes on people. We just have to increase the amount of people who are paying taxes. When you look at the idea of government including or bringing on an additional at least 14 people, this shows you again that our people are not thinking outside the box. The only way they can figure out how to use more money and have more money allocated to the legislature is to create more people. We're not talking about creating better jobs. We're not talking about creating a better system of infrastructure development. We're not talking about how do we look at the budget and completely blow up the budget to be able to look at the budget and say, how can we have school feeding programs? How can we have more technical vocational training colleges? How can we make sure University of Liberia doesn't look like the homeless shelter, right? All we're doing is saying, oh, we need more lawmakers. More lawmakers for what? Imagine now that 14 more people we got to buy vehicles for. Give them X amount of money, get in $2,000 every month for fuel. What is that going to do for the living in Peabody? So we are not thinking the right way. And then even when we go to the arson case, that was just a complete waste of 1 year. the whole country was fixated on who branded this, who will be speaker, who won't be speaker. What did that do for the average Liberian? But yet we were so easily fooled. That's all we talked about. We didn't talk about development at all. So basically, for the first year of this administration, we lost it. I honestly cannot think about one thing that we talked about that was done in the year of 2024. Why? Because we're having speaker fight. Oh, speaker fight. Oh, yeah, the amount of money that was spent. Lawmakers staying at a hotel. Lawmakers camping here. What can that do for us? So these are things when we truly want to talk about Liberia, these are things we have to address. So listen, the frustration level is high because we continue to almost act like we are under a spell, like we're not even thinking straight. And so we easily get fooled by shiny things. That's why somebody can come with plenty of money and when we chase them. By the time somebody comes with plenty of money, oh, our leader. We are easily fooled in this country, easily fooled.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, according to Dr. Peabody and the producers on the ground, Honorable Mr. Kiatama should be here tomorrow if all things being held constant. Is this still true, Doctor?
As far as concerned, he has consented that he will appear, so we look forward to see him tomorrow.
Great.
Are we opening the line for the people that
we have to make our second comment, man.
We're coming to that. Kiatama will be here tomorrow to discuss, and on Friday, we're going to have civil engineers here to talk to us about building roads and bridges. Thank you very much. And if we could open the line, can we put the numbers up?
And I hope when the engineers are talking, let them understand that we need $3 billion will be to pave all of the roads in this country. Let them also understand that.
Excellent.
We need $4 billion to electrify all of the homes in Liberia.
Aha. We're talking numbers and not LD. We're talking about USD.
USD.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Dr. Peabody, we need the telephone number. I believe we got 15, 20 more minutes. Let's hear from our folks.
Yeah,
let's hear. The guy in studio can put up the number. Myean, if you guys can put up the number, that'll be great. Please put up the number. So
let's interact. Let the Liberian people interact with their potential leader. We're hearing something new. We are not just singing battle songs. But while we wait for the numbers, Sarah, are you still here?
She's babysitting.
Oh, she's babysitting. Let me go to Robert Garguah.
He babysitting too.
Okay, let me go to the man from Cape Palmas, Mr. Seaton.
Thank you very much. You keep making this mistake. I am from Sino County, not Cape Palmas.
You see, the man just told you don't mention tribe, don't mention county.
No, but you just said it meant from Cape Palmas.
I was trapping you. You got caught up.
All right, yes, I got caught up. But Dr. Moniba, you made some salient points, and a lot of the things that you have said, it resonate with me, because I can tell you this. Every one of us that are in the diaspora, we want Liberia to be better. Okay? But how it can be better, we have different ideas. And the fact that you have some of these concrete ideas to move this country forward, it's a good thing. But the question is, our voting populace, are they listening? Because I tell you this, take for example, certain individuals in the country were accused of being corrupt. They were not proven in the country as being corrupt. The United States came and put sanction on them for being corrupt, right? These people went to their various constituencies and the people voted them into office. Then, when the United States turned around and said, look, you know what, because you have corrupt, because then the same people start engaging in corruption, then we'll run back to the United States. Corruption, does it make sense? I'm talking about the psyche of the Liberian people. Everything you are saying is fine. But that discernment to know, say, look, what is happening in this country is wrong. We need to put into office people who can move this country forward, not people who are tainted. And yet instead they keep voting these people into office, and these people keep creating a situation where they continue to languish in abject poverty, and they complain a lot, but then when another election cycle comes, they elect the same people. What is wrong with the psyche?
You know, that poverty, that's what feeds on itself. So the stat you was given about the amount of students who are not in school.
Doctor, one minute, hold your thought there. We got a call.
I got somebody in line. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, hello, Dr. Manva. This is Mr. Nyenwolo calling from Maryland.
How are you?
And listen,
yeah, you next.
I heard you, just a while ago say how much it will cost for Liberia to be road ready, paved roads, and electrified.
Mm-hmm.
And the same ignorance that we're speaking about, our people, even those who are supposed to be educated, jumping up and down, that even if they're lucky, they will win $500 million. It's going to cost, according to your prediction, and I'm sure you know that because it was studied when you were assistant minister, that will cost about $7 billion with a B. And we're jumping up and down about $500 million or less. That tells you the kind of mindset we have. And for the little things that we get so happy about, the country cannot move forward because we stuck with these people, the same people who have to go and vote. And like you said, they don't listen to people who have ideas. They listen to people who can play music for them. So I don't know, in my own mind, what Liberia can do. And if you have any ideas, please tell me, because for me, I am totally frustrated with our people. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, the first thing I'll do selfishly is actually join me, right? To honestly join me. Let's continue to talk to the people of Liberia. But quickly, that $500 million that we're jumping, that money will not come, if we lucky, in the next 4 to 5 years. If we are lucky. And I say that because I was involved in the negotiation for the first MCC compact that came into the country. At that time, I was serving as whether chairman of LEC or head of the President Delivery Unit. Either way, I was one of the 5 people who went to the United States to negotiate for that funding that ultimately came to Liberia. That was in 2016. The process started in 2009, 2010. It took almost 6 years to get that money. So even they're just thinking about giving us compact. We haven't even formally started the process. We are 4 or 5 years away. So, I mean, and so that's the frustrating part, right? That $500 million is to develop a country. It's a lot of money, but it's small money. So we have to start to think outside the box. And so that's what Liberian people, we have to be desperate for change. Right now, Liberian people act like we're desperate for change, but we're not, because we continue to do the same thing. People, we know people who are corrupt. We know people who every intention will be to steal, but yet will support that person.
Thank you. The next caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, everyone. My name is Selena Cole, and I'm calling from Texas. Am I loud enough?
Yes.
Okay. I can hear you.
2 questions. Thank you, Dr. Manva, for being on. I want to be on the show, but the guys ran ahead and took all the seats for StreamYard, so I couldn't come on. But here you go, my 2 questions. So just have to rub it in. 2 questions related to cybersecurity. Reason being, just because I'm an expert in that space as well as AI governance, so I like to stay in my lane. So one question, the first question is on fires. That caught my attention yesterday. Just the recent surge of unexplained fire across Liberia. So I'd like to hear your plan to improve fire prevention, investigation, and just overall national emergency response. So that's one question. The second question had to do with security and AI, or cybersecurity and AI. Of course, we know that Liberia is vulnerable to cyber attacks and AI risk. So what is your immediate action using cybersecurity and AI to strengthen national security, improve critical government services so they're not using Gmail, and also reducing security risks? Thank you.
Before you answer that, let me just squeeze the one question in from a caller, and then you can answer both together if you don't mind. Go ahead, Mr. Conley. Oh, hold on one second. Hold on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Let me say good evening to your host, Dr. Moniba, and then of course the other panelists. Fascinating topics, man, and I like how Dr. Moniba, as I know, bold presentations that he's making with regards to issues that he sees that needs to be done for Liberia. It's a good initiative for a young man. I think he's dedicating his time to understand the issues that the country is faced with. But one thing that is troubling, and it continued to happen, and as a political leader or prospective president, so to be, what are his plans with regards to the issue of sanctioning people, and those people are never prosecuted, or rather they become like a nuisance to society, and people just dismiss them, or even if they go to their constituencies and they are elected, and yesterday people continue to demean them, and succeeding government have never mustered the courage to question the United States. You sanction these people, what are their crimes? Can it be proven in court? Because the sanction issue have been weaponized to the point that, yes, we just completely dismiss these people and let it just sit there, and society should just forget about them. It's like you in your country, you have people who say, oh, Abraham Conner is a role. He's told XYZ. But Abraham Conner never gets prosecuted for nothing. But in these societies, you just dismiss him now that you have said that he's a role. So this issue, if you're opportune, or in your capacity as an opposition leader, what is your stand with regards to this issue? Because I have seen so many sanctions, be it the Vani Sherman and all those people in our country, and not a day they have been adjudicated, to my knowledge, either for these people to complain and exonerate themselves. But yesterday it continues to happen. People come to Washington, lobby people to sanction individuals, and only for them to tell you this is a political thing. So what is the position that? I would really appreciate it, because I heard Mr. Caesar talking about it again, that all the other people went to their constituency and they elected them. So the society, literally, in fact, we are completely, holding our own society responsible for electing these people. So can you please explain to us in your position with regard to such things? Thank you, Meda.
Thank you. So I will start with your question and then work backwards. We need a dedicated court to prosecute corruption charges. We need to implement and pass a law of mandatory jail time for people who are found guilty from this dedicated court that we must establish if we want to act like we're taking corruption serious. The reason why we have countries leaving us, the reason why we don't have nations supporting us at the level they should be, is simply because they know that we don't take corruption serious. We talked about it before. Nobody goes to jail in Liberia for corruption. The most that will happen to anybody is they will suspend them. That's it. Right? And then they will say pending investigation never happens. Even the sanctions that you talked about that happened a couple of years ago, where are we with that? The issue with Twe, right? He was accused, he came back in country, he out on bail. Where are we with that? So the other countries look at us and simply say, these people are not serious. They're not serious about fighting for corruption. Why should we dedicate our own personal resources to help this country when they themselves not serious? So we need a specialized court that only focuses economic crimes. And so that's why I was somewhat, we talked about one economic crime court. That was the big news in Liberia in 2024 again. One economic crime court. Where are we with that? And why are we even talking about where's the economic of it? That should be our focus, economic, because the war was something that happened 20 years ago, but all of us know who killed Dopoh. all who know who started from Nimba to come down. These are questions we don't need to have a code for. What we need to figure out is who is stealing the money. Liberia used to have an airplane. Where did that money go? You know, Liberia had embassies. It was sold. Where did that money go? And so these are questions we need to be asking. We need a specialized court to be able to address these issues. A specialized court with mandatory jail time for people caught or found guilty. That's what Liberia needs. When you're talking about cybersecurity, the unfortunate part of Liberia is that Liberia is so low on the totem pole of any type of AI or cybersecurity. And here's an example. There's several companies around the world that allows their workers to work in different countries based on their level of security for their internet system list. That's how low we are when you talk about securing our airways, implementing Wi-Fi or internet productivity or security. So we are so at the minimal stage, to be honest with you, simply because, to be honest, most of the Liberian people, the only thing they can think about are the bread and butter issues. So what we have to be able to do from a technology standpoint, and I always say it, we can't solve all the problems all the time, but what we have to be able to do is to have one single institute of technology, something that will be a state of the art that we as Liberians can be proud of. Let's begin from there. Let's begin to train our people. So from there now, we can start talking about true cybersecurity, building our infrastructure for internet activity and everything else. So that's where we are. Again, we are so low on the totem pole right now. We have to start somewhere. We have to plant a seed. We need to get some of the best and brightest students in technology, get them in one academy and start to train them so that we can begin to build that sector of our economy, because it's non-existent.
Thank you. Thank you. I got a caller. Your name and where you calling from? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, your name and where you calling from?
Mrs. Elliott.
Go ahead.
Hello? Hello, Dr. Monivai.
How are you?
I'm Mrs. Elliott from North Carolina, Charlotte. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you, Miss Elliott?
Yeah, I have a question for Dr. Monivai. And I just want to commend you first, for your boldness as a young man. You was 45, 46 years old.
Thank you.
In spite of, things that are going on. But what I want to ask you, what do you think is the best choice? Yeah,
Okay. Okay, I think she cut off, but I heard the question. And it's simply because I truly believe, right? No other political leader can sit here for 2 hours and have this discussion. I truly believe that. I think 99% of other leaders will struggle in depth having the conversation we're having. And so if that's the case, that person should not be leading. So that's why the reason why I truly believe that I can effectively transform the country is because of my ideology, my background, my character, everything that's involved in being an ethical leader. Liberia has too many leaders and not enough ethical leaders, people who have integrity, honesty. I'm so proud I've negotiated hundreds of millions of dollars on behalf of Liberia. You will never, ever, and I stress, never, ever hear that Dr. Clarence Moniba took 1 single cent, asked for $1 single from anybody in Liberia or outside of Liberia. So Liberia needs ethical leaders. Liberia needs technicians and not just politicians. And that's where I fit all the boxes. I always tell people, if you're looking for a president, you have to be able to say, okay, is the person educated? Yes. Can the person articulate their vision and their views? Yes. Does the person have character? Yes. And all of those different things. Does the person have a plan? Yes. So all of these different things, I'm proud to say we can be able to do it.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Moniba here. We call him for an hour. He's been here for 2.5 hours. We want to thank him, Doc. Your parting comments? You've been here. We appreciate you being here. It's been 2 hours taking all the questions and answering them, and even answering more than we ask. Your parting comments?
Well, like I said, this isn't campaign time, so it's not necessary now. The idea is that how can all of us get together to pressurize our lawmakers, our leaders, to start to change the budget so we can transform Liberia? It's the ideology of the mind we have to change in Liberia, and so that's my fight right now. How do we transform the minds of the Liberian people so that we can transform Liberia? But listen, thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to come on and talk to the Liberian people, to everybody here. I'm so open to this. I hope this can be a regular thing, because as we try to build our profile and try to change the minds of the Liberian people, we have to be consistent in our message. And that's what I want to be able to do. And so again, thank you. Congratulations for this platform. Everyone, the amount of time and effort you put dedicating to build this, you know what the sacrifice you have to do. But this is a sacrifice that all of us have to do, because we know Liberia is not where we want it to be. So all of us, Liberia doesn't need one leader. Liberia needs 5.2 million leaders. And so that's what all of us have to contribute to do. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I look forward to the next time I'm here so we can engage again on this same type of conversation and even more.
Don't forget, Doc, the Christmas giveaway for the kids in Liberia.
No problem. No, I sent a text already to somebody, so they should do something already. So we'll work with it. Don't worry.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hold on 1 minute.
And anything, Johnny, me and Johnny can talk very often. So trust me, Johnny will make sure.
Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it. But just a quick.
Hold on 1 minute. Hold on, Doctor. Can you squeeze one person from California in?
I can squeeze it, but my laptop is going to die any second. But yes,
real quick, your name and where you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling from California. My name is Ross. Yes, the doctor did stress a point here when it comes to the national, the resources of Liberia. We have a lot of people digging diamonds and gold everywhere. But I want to know his policy when it comes to that. How do the people of Liberia benefit from the natural resources of Liberia?
No, so honestly, that was my point. We are barely benefiting from the resources because we're only taking percentage. What Liberia needs to do is, first, we need to take some ownership of some of our own natural resources, one. And two, we need to start to create a gold reserve. So every 10 tons that leave Liberia, we need to take 2 or 3 tons and put it aside for us. That's what we need to be talking about. So that once you have that, then the people of Liberia can benefit, because let's say we get 100 tons, we can go to any bank in the world and say, give us $500 million because we want to build our country, and we will pay you back, and we'll use the gold as a reserve. We can do that for iron ore. We can do that for diamond. That's how the natural resources supports a country's development. But right now, all we're doing is we're watching the people then take all of our gold, leaving our place empty, and then they'll give 4%, 5%, and then we celebrate. And then how do we celebrate? We divide it on our lawmakers.
Thank you. Before your assistant dies, thank you very much for coming. I will be reaching out to you. We'll be reaching out to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you. No problem.
Thank you, Doc. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Doc. Yeah, I really enjoy the conversation with you.
Thank
you so much. Okay.
God bless.
Good night. God bless.
Okay, guys. Let me start with the Queen. Queen, what is your assessment, your thought on the show, on his presentation?
Well, all I can say is everything he said is on point, but it can only be accomplished with a transformational leader. Especially, and also maybe the last point he made about the gold and diamond that we see over there. All of those things can only happen with a transformational leader. What we see right now, even if we say we're going to have a gold reserve, this and that, the folks right now, or maybe folks of the past and current folks, people want to enrich themselves first before they even look at resources to be reserved. So all of those things are good, but it can only be done. Like you see the young man in Burkina Faso, how intentional he is. It can only be done when someone is intentional to change the country. That's it. Other than that, we will talk tire. Nothing. No evidence.
Wow.
So, Good
Excellent.
conversation, great show. We'll continue to talk. We'll not get tired one part, but we'll continue to talk. Thank you.
Abdulakir Tama will be here. He's going to be fiery as well. He is not running for president, but he's a commentator, a lot of opinion on tough stuff. We'll discuss it. Honorable Seaton.
Yes, thank you. I think we had a good show. Dr. Monimba, I'm impressed. He knows the issue. He can articulate the issue. As Sarah said, to be able to transform Liberia, you need a transformational leader. And he made a point here, and I've always told people, what Liberia needs a revolution of the minds. Because our psyche in that country is of such that, yes, we want development, but we don't know how we can achieve development. It is only Liberians that can demand for their country to be developed. And they can only do that through their votes. And Liberians are not doing that. So I just hope that what he's saying will resonate with the voting population so that the necessary change that we want in our country can be effective in 2029 with a transformational leader that will put every Liberian to work, that will transform that country in less than 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Johnny.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. I think I want to agree with my sister Sarah, because seriously, I'm on a mission to recruit Sarah. So let me make it clear to the public. I'm on a serious mission to recruit Sarah. I'm sitting here taking text messages all around. So Sarah, why I tell the guy you recruited, you and Telvi, we need you guys on our team to help build.
You can't recruit her with that girl at Daha Sedition.
Forget it. See, it's not how to get these people on our side. But anyway, let me say thank you. I really appreciate everybody here, and I agree with what Mr. Seaton said. I also want to appeal to Seaton. We can be in the back providing support, and we need everybody. This is about Liberia. This is about
which organization is that?
It's Liberia National Union.
Oh, Liberia National Union. Okay.
Yeah, we have a bidding union among ourselves.
Yeah, that Dr. Monimba, okay.
Bidding union among ourselves as Liberians. So thank you, Gayman, for putting the show. Gayman, I give you all the credit. You do well. I mean, at age 65, you are up on time. And I mean, carrying this show like this, I really admire you, admire your strength and your courage for this job. Let me say thank you, and me also appreciate
job. You're paying the man for his job.
And the people say, hey, you in Liberia, even you don't get paid, they count you as employed.
Oh, okay. So, but thank you, man. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for our viewers and listeners. I really appreciate them. And they are so good. They are so precious.
The main job is in the background. When CMC wins, then that's the time you will get job.
Thank you very much. Seleke, you are muted. You see the other Seleke? So Dr. Monua left, finished talking, he gone. You see?
But Mr. Gayman said today, you've been calling Seleke me on the show. You got to make it clear, Seleke.
Yeah, okay. Seleke Kromah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So it was a great show. And Mr. Johnny, what you just said is a lot of what you have to do. To choose Sarah to be a supporter of Dr. Monua, it's going to be a lot of tasks. But again, it was a great show,
Seleke, anyway.
I know Dr. Monua, we've met here and we've had some town hall meeting, all of that. In fact, the school institution here, the African School of Governance, I have a Congolese friend, and right after he left, he went to Liberia, and that my friend told me about him. Say, do you know one Moluba? He's from Liberia and he's teaching us, and he spoke highly of him. So, it was a great conversation. And so, yeah, these are the kind of people we can consider for the presidency, and again, but I want to disagree with him when you say he's the only person that can sit on a platform to talk for more than 2 hours. I disagree with that part. Mr. Cummings, as Dr. Peabody said, he and Mr. Cummings, they know what they want to do. The similar questions like Mr. Cummings on different interviews, they've been able to answer in duties what what I explained, what he intend to do, just as he did tonight on the show. And so,
Mr.
you know,
Kromah,
again,
Mr. Kromah, real quick, has Comey been on the show for 2 hours?
Yes.
Of course, the records are there. You know how many times the commissioner appear, and you will be here again. So just leave that. You know, in fact, again, I will not blame Dr. Moluba today for appearing.
No, money back, not Moluba, money back.
Okay, money back. Mr. Gayman, why you can't cut people off when the CDK can be cutting off? Why?
because
and you give me enough time. Yeah, but it was a great show. It was a great show again. Let's continue to do this. And it requires people like Dr. Moniba and other people who've not been given the opportunity to collaborate. That's the only way we can win. But if we say everybody going away separately, it will be very, very hard for us. You know, we can collaborate, as you said, is willing to collaborate with anybody that you know that share the same vision with him. So we are looking forward to all, you know, the kind of conversation. Thank you. It was a great show.
Thank you for staying up that late over there to charm me. It's very late on your side. Also, Johnny, thank you very much. Dr. Peabody, take us out. But before you do, guys, even when we go off the air, our Cash App is still working. So send some money. The Cash App is working. The Zelle is working. If you're in Liberia or you are comfortable with SendWave, send the money. It goes into one pot. And
what kind of number that you got on the screen?
The number
that's the number to call on.
For Cash App is the $sign TCA 2500.
But I think we put Jen Mambaro on our bag. That is she did a pretty good job.
Listen, she is the queen of this show. The queen.
Yes.
Take us out.
Yeah, look, Jen had done very well. Jen alone have contributed at least $400 to our project. Mr. Gayman had donated $100. Sarah had donated $50. I've donated $50. Say Gongano have given $25, and Miss Annie June today gave $25. So anything you can do, folks, we appreciate it. We just want to give it to these guys. Nothing coming in anybody's pocket. We don't need it. We're going to send it to Liberia, and we'll list the name of where we send it, who is benefiting from it. But we just want to give them a Christmas treat because these guys are out in the morning. They're all over Monrovia in the different villages, the different counties. They are everywhere. So we just want to help them. But God, it was a wonderful show today. Look, I'm not surprised of when Mr. Moneyback comes here because you're talking to somebody who already know what he knows. You know, and when he speaks to you, you feel like you're right there. Like you see it happening when he speaks. You know, unfortunately, I don't want to say it, but sometimes I wonder what our people saka. Sometimes I wonder.
What you are saying, you don't have to wonder. Even the educated people.
You know, sometimes
I always tell people, there are people in Liberia, they claim that they are educated, but they are not.
They're not.
Come on. The people who memorize
they don't have
stuff,
discernment. They can read between.
Learning is to be critical thinker. The people are taught to think. They memorize and get certificate. That's not thinking. When you talk to the people in Cuba, the reason they are like that is because they 100% can read and write and comprehend.
Right.
So you go to them.
They are not easily fooled.
They are not easily fooled.
We just, like Telvi said, we do not appreciate good people. You got a young, vibrant man leader like that.
No, we don't.
You sit on there and you rather go for somebody who is 80 something years old and he's expecting to lead you into the vision that you're talking about. Is that Liberia? And the educated people, they want
Liberia has been reaffirmed for compa eligibility. I don't know what I mean.
What Mr. Moniba said, I think it takes up to 6-7 years to get
it. Reaffirmed for compa eligibility. That does not.
We didn't get the compa. We are only eligible to apply. So what is there?
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you very much. It was a great show. Let's do this again tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be here again.
Yeah, Tama is
going to don't forget.
No, I mean, I got to add to the chat room, though. So you can get it
that's the thing.
I got to add to the chat room.
To be honest with you, I've been out for the past almost 4 weeks because I've been doing a lot of research. And I wanted to research that why I brought all this information today. So but I'm kind of a little bit free now, So I will be.
The guys are back. They arrived today. Tomalin and New Progressive Sylvester.
Oh, that's good. Thank God.
That's good.
Thank God for
they arrived today. So thank God for.
That's very good.
But
Guys,
Mr. Gayman, thank you. We gotta give you a prize because
Mr. Gayman is doing well.
You don't want to just come on.
Are we gonna have a honorary year-end show? You know, just to recognize some very important.
Maybe we just do it. We just have to do it virtual. You know.
I think we need to get together in the Maryland area. So
I'm down. I'm down.
I think we need to have a ball. Let people pay to come
No, that's true. That's another way to raise funds.
That's correct.
So what we can do is we need to plan a dinner. I mean,
there you go.
There's a
All
lot of
of y'all come here to me in Delaware. All of y'all come here to me.
Sarah to be the cheerleader, but we're talking behind it. We're talking behind the
Sarah,
scene.
if you want to host, if you want to host it,
I want to plan a dinner for those.
I can host
I'm planning a dinner for those in the U.S.
No, we'll hold Tell Parker.
That's a wonderful idea.
You might accuse me. I know you.
You can have a little fundraiser.
Sarah, I will link you to my sister in Delaware if you are there. I'll link you to her.
Okay.
She's based in Delaware. I will link you so you can begin to build more relationship and know through her. We need to find all the avenue to get you, Sarah.
Look, what is your sister name? Because I live in Delaware too.
No, my man.
I will share the address with you guys. You guys will figure
We're not giving the guy's sister name.
I'm
the president for Liberia Team Delaware.
I'm stubborn. I'm so stubborn that
Peabody. That man said he's president for a librarian, and he even know his own librarian. What kind of president is that?
He called it, he would know. This is
our president for a librarian association in Delaware. I mean,
I met Seaton long time ago in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh yeah. That's I've just come to the States from Liberia, fresh up as a practicing journalist, and we had a nice time in Atlanta.
And you guys are on the show. You guys on the show. Let me just make a quick announcement. If you have any family in Delaware that is not registered with the association, please let me know so I can get you in contact with them. Because I'm currently the chair lady on recruitment and membership, and we want to make sure we account for all of our Liberian folks in Delaware. Yeah. So if you have a family member in here that is not registered, let me know. I'll go after them.
Thank you.
I will send her number after this call.
All right, Johnny.
Well, Sarah, I'll hold you the tax on planning our TCA reunion. Even if we 20 or 30, we'll come together, just have a
That's
right.
Yeah,
it's necessary. That would be great. Let's do it. We need a year-end party. We need to recognize Mr. Gayman.
Mr. Gayman, yes.
All the other people here.
No, Mr. Gayman, you're doing well for this show. You are doing extremely well for this show.
Let's do this tomorrow, guys. Be on time. Let's have some great argument tomorrow.
Okay.
I will be here because last week is this week. Next week I'm going back to work. I might not have the time. So that week I'll be jolly on the show.
Let's do it.
All right. All right, guys. Have a good night,
everybody. All right, good night, everybody.
All right.